Why can't you fly anything below sea level and keep it straight? Bubbles is MC. Don't. Submarine helicopters fly below sea level, but I bet they don't. So nobody flies down no longer been curved. See what the fuck? No boat below the sea and subplanes flying below sea level, low. What's a gas planet? Sun, Earth. Big wop.
Coin, stock coin, growing coin, Bitcoin, food coin, tax coin, mech coin, insurance coin, MC2 coin, Coco coin, global coin, FE currency, backed by us, for us, some coin.
Good morning, welcome to Flat Earth Early Bird number 2513. I'm your host Arwin, and before I start this show, please don't forget to share it on any platform you deem fit, and if you haven't already, follow me here on Rumble and be here when I'm going live, which is normally 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day. And please also do support me through the PayPal, Patreon, Gifts and Go. Links are in the description box below, or send me super chat over at the Rumble live chat when the show is live, or subscribe to my channel and support me that way. Any support would be greatly appreciated. I can really use it a lot. Right. So, weather today is cold. It was yesterday night. I slept with the door open and it wasn't like solid frozen in the morning, so. But yeah, it is cold again, so big gray soup up there. Snow is still laying on the roof, on the ground. It's not been raining, it's not really been snowing either anymore, it's just sitting there, it's cold. I don't know, I'm definitely gonna stay inside today. Yeesh. Right. I got a visitor. Hey kitty. Yeah, brought the cat standing in front of the door, and I thought like, I'm not gonna just leave him out there. Gonna have him on my show for a bit. Just sitting hanging around. Hey, kitty. Right, bonus kitty. Anyhow, it is Sunday, the 11th of January 2026. Temperature is minus 1 degree Celsius with 83% humidity, 16 kilometers an hour wind, and 10% precipitation. Still gonna get -6 at night. Then yeah, by tomorrow it's gonna warm up back up a bit. Whoa, severe snow ice warning. Jesus, okay. Black ice? Yeah. It's probably like, yeah, the frost, the slush freezing back over. I mean, they cleared out most of the roads, so I don't think it's gonna be that slippery, but might be places out there where they couldn't. It's gonna be really icy and slippery. Alright, so yeah, I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I don't know, my day yesterday was kind of mixed. It was a bit rowdy. So yeah, I got on worldwide debates after the show, but I mean, I don't know, I was kind of cranky for some reason. It was weird. But yeah, discussing like biology subjects, and of course I have a lot of alternative ideas about that, but yeah, there were some people in there that just seemed to be wanting to disrupt it. That got me kind of irritated. Or trolls hang around. Right, anyhow, there was no bonus stream or anything on InfoWars. So yeah, let's see what's going on out there right now. Oh, Trump says US is ready to help Iranian protesters. Okay. Yeah, they've been protesting for over 2 weeks straight now, which I think is like unprecedented in Iran. It's never been like that before.
Got some dirt curve we can test, make sure the anvil is chorus. CT. Correct. Low.
Also, that was an item that apparently they're striking ISIS in Syria. The US is. So that's happening. Massive farmer protests also in Ireland now. Yeah, it seems to be more overtly now about the deal with South America. The EU wants, like, I brought that up before. They want to get rid of European farmers and then just import food from South American countries, which is outrageous. And it's that's what the farmer protests are now about, to stop that. And I mean, everybody should stop that. Like, we don't want food dependence internationally. Like, that's not a good predicament to be at. It makes you very dependent on government and international stability, etc. It's just terrible, and it's unnecessary because we have the freaking farmers here. We have the farmland. We have the farmers. We have everything. It's just insane. What they want. Right. So yeah, protests continue. Okay, let's see. Hey, what's this? Oh, okay, there's company Cloudflare apparently is resisting EU censorship mandates. They're getting huge fines for it, but they don't care. So there are companies out there that are trying to resist the internet censorship, which, I mean, the whole thing is just a giant scam. And it's gonna ruin the internet. So there's resistance to that too. I didn't know that was even possible. Yeah, and they're taking judicial steps against the whole thing. Interesting. Right. Right, yeah, I guess that's a quick summary of the news out there. I mean, there is a lot of stuff happening. Said it was going to be an eventful year, and it has been so far. Anti-ICE protests are continuing on in the US. The Texas police is having their hands full with him. Because, I mean, they are pretty damn aggressive. They are basically, I mean, dude, there's like effectively like a communist revolution going on. It's like the 60s all over again. Maybe worse. Because I mean, there's something people forget, that there was basically like kind of a communist revolution attempt in the US in the 60s. Like nobody really talks about it, but like there were like freaking bombings and bank robberies and all kinds of things with like young communist revolutionaries. It was pretty serious back then, and I mean they barely were able to stop it, and that seems to be just unfolding again. Right. Yeah, Owen Benjamin, by the way, had a stream yesterday night. Had no idea. Normally doesn't do a stream on Saturday. But yeah, I've heard the first 5 minutes does sound interesting. He's like really researched into like international shipping cartel, how that works, the economics of the shipping systems, the trade routes, and how that's been done. And it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I had to start the show, so I can't just go watch that. Hour 50 minutes. I'm gonna continue watching that after the show is done here. But that sounded really interesting, so I'm definitely gonna watch that after this. Hey, kitty. Kitty's getting bored. He probably just wants some butter or something. I thought like, hey, but it's nice and warm inside here. That's good, right? But I don't think this cat really cares about the cold outside. It doesn't have a problem with it. They do really get like this winter coat, which is much thicker than during the summer. Right.
What the fuck? Why am I mated?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna let him out.
I have the answer.
Don't want to keep him
Reality programs
locked up in here.
DNA
The cat he is like an outside cat. He really likes to be free out there. And I always see him like crawling around and walking around. And he's a real outside cat.
What the fuck is science? Word solved.
Right. So yeah. I don't know what to talk about. I feel kind of ugh. I don't feel great. I'm still very much worried about overall finances. The situation here, like I don't know what to do. Like I'm just worried about it, and there's not a lot I can do. I just, yeah, I don't know. I'm in a financial downslide effectively, and I don't know how to get out. And I'm just really worried for the future, for my future. It's not a lot that anybody can really do about it out there. The only thing that can potentially, I don't even know if it's gonna solve anything, what it could potentially start to solve it is if I got my own apartment. And I mean, I really hope that might happen this year. I really do. With the waiting list numbers, I think I might have a chance. But I mean, it's just a chance. It doesn't mean that it's actually gonna happen. I really hope it will, though, because I mean, it's just financially out of whack, and like I don't know how to survive this on the long run. But I mean, it's it's barely 2 weeks into the new year, and I'm already stressing out over it, and it's also the cold. When it's that cold and you have worries like that, it really eats on you. So it's I just need to like take it easy and just like I'll live through it. I'll survive again somehow. With the help of some friends. So yeah, please support your local Arwin. That will always help me alleviate my worries. Yeah, like catching up to some Quantum of Conscious, because I hadn't watched like the Sunday shows for a while. Because they were on Odyssey and I didn't realize they were blocked yet. Because they have been blocked apparently for a while, and now it's just like finalized or something. But yeah, I can bypass it with VPN, so I basically caught up to a bunch of the shows. It's kind of weird. It feels like, in a way, like he's having a relatively tough life too. He probably has a little bit better grip on the situation in his life than I have. But I mean, yeah, in the show from, was it 2 days ago? He did like elaborate a lot. Some hectic stuff that he's dealing with. Okay, kitty. No, kitty doesn't want to sit there. He just wants to get out. Alright. Ah. It's nice to have him on for a bit. Okay, kitty. Right, I'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Don't forget to Rubens it up.
Shut the fuck up, Denmark.
Do you have any idea of how stupid you sound? Seriously, try and demonstrate water sticking to a ball. You cannot. And do you really believe that planes are flying upside down Earth is spinning at over 1,000 mph. So how can smoke from a fire on a windless night go straight up if Earth is a spinning ball? Go try and find one real photo of Earth taken from outer space. CGI does not count. Why does the recent eclipse travel from west to east if we are living on a ball that spins from west to east? Why when I looked up at the eclipse was there no moon in sight? Waiting for your answers. Space Boy.
And I'm back.
My grandpa used to drive an old tractor to school. They said, and he loved Rose Lolo. Never got to meet home him, and he drove a motor. It's best with butter toast or bread. Or bread. Or bread. Cool sounds good.
I had chili and cornbread. Yesterday I had beef sandwiches from crock pot, little brown gray. Yes, beef roasted in algae with brown gravy. Let it get the heat on. Break it up and spread it on, little.
Yeah. Okay. Ah. Yeah, it's a bit quiet out there. I was hanging around at Earth Awakenings earlier and it was like not a lot of activity in there either. Could join up with them, see if something goes down. Yeah, I went through all the videos.
Nothing gear, nothing earth proton. Electron gas sound light. Porch gas sound light. Knowers. Who can be a believe? Lolo, can you be what you believe you are?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, apparently I'm not the only one. Almost 10% of Dutch people are in poverty, apparently. According to the Central Bureau of Statistics here. Dude, I had no idea it was getting that bad. That's kind of terrifying. Oh.
Jesus face. Lolo God face. Olo. Traces. Hello. Jesus.
Okay, well apparently they have Russian robot deliveries that are working even in the snow. So,
Of ball claims. What it's got. Flat. Yes. No ball. So where's all ball claims go from mass? Maps when change low ball versus cat 1-for-1.
whoa,
Flat
what the?
versus ball.
Holy shit.
Map Lolo. Not ever sane. So. What change with distances impart from cartoon to reality? What makes you think they can know that without proof? No all non-physical. You have to have physical temps and volts there for action Voltrons. Voltaire. Volts and air von Braun.
Oh god, I mean scrolling on X, you never really know when something is even real or not. Not without the sound anyway.
Bros. PT either energy field is either. Not non-physics. Where's temperature coming either? Rigs. Hot, cold either.
Right, yeah, whatever. I guess nobody's gonna show up to my chat today. Ugh.
Emit has from sound.
Whatever.
Gas.
Oh, apparently British Prime Minister Keir Starmer got kicked out of a pub by its owner. It's hilarious. I mean, he should. He's a complete scumbag, communist.
Can't you fly anything below sea level and keep it straight? Bubbles is MC. Submarine helicopters fly below sea level, I bet they don't. So nobody flies down along the bend curve. See what the fuck? No boat below the sea and subplanes flying below sea level, low. What's the gas planet? Sun, Alright! Well, it's gonna be a very short show today.
What's this? Oh. Oh, they're reviewing the principle over at Worldwide Debates. Oh, that might be kind of interesting to sit in with that. Yeah, I might join them. Alright. Yeah, this is not gonna go anywhere. So yeah, sorry for the giant swath of silence here. I've kind of been scrolling on X. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't feel super talkative right now. And like nothing that came scrolling by really stands out as something that I could address. Basically summarized all of it quickly in the first 15 minutes of the show today. Everything is ongoing. Protests in America against ICE and protests in Europe, especially surrounding the farmers, against the whole EU plan to basically get them out of the way in favor of the South American food deals, which are terrible. It's outrageous. That's kind of ongoing. Yeah, and I'm gonna join up with Worldwide Debates right now. So, yeah. Stay around and... Hey, it's never too late to actually fucking show up in the chat just one damn time to say hello or anything. Right? So, yeah. Let's see.
Here, and he's like, Don fucking, me and Riggs had talked about you.
I don't
Hello.
remember.
He warned me about
What's up,
you.
Marlon?
I'm on special alert for my
So
Don.
Don and Arwen have some kind of score to settle. I don't know. He's talking
No,
about
he's
you.
talking about me.
And
No, he's talking about
Arwen's here
me.
now.
What?
You talking about me. Arwen, you remember yesterday you leaking talking about fucking Riggs told me about you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, dude, Don. Everything I say about you is you already know. Like I've already told you.
Exactly. But what usually people don't do when they have a private conversation is tell the public that they've had a private conversation.
Like, dude, Don is bombastic and he's on weird drugs often and he interrupts people.
Yeah.
But you know what he's not? You know what Don is not? He's not a bad guy. And I think he wants to be better. And I think he's met a cool group of friends that maybe he can learn from and like figure stuff out and progress as a person. So
Yeah.
that's what I think about Don here. But
And there's-
he's still a whack job and he pisses me off often.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're giving like team direction or if you're giving like mod instructions or whatever, you know, you'd be like, yeah, I mean the guy, like you can't give him too much rope. You know, the guy walks around like he owns the place or whatever, and you got to just, you know, like, and all that, and someone's gonna be like, okay, cool, like there's an opportunity there. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
kind of everybody. There's a lot of people. Everybody kind of falls into that trap in a group. You know, like you can't have full awareness of everything. You know, just how it goes.
I think it's like, bro, I think like facilitating the discourse between people, that's the most valuable, that's the most precious, you know, fulfilling thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got all this dead ass nature everywhere, and it's beautiful, but then we got the light. You know, we get to share the light together.
Yeah, I agree, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's all about like what it's worth, you know, and it's worth connecting people. So.
Okay.
But I trust in the system. That's the main thing. I was like, I just didn't know how much y'all hashed out, or if you noticed that little part of it. And I'm
no, I actually I don't know how I missed it, but like I've missed a lot of stuff recently. My head's kind of in the clouds. But hey, we went on a huge diversion since you came in. So
oh, y'all doing something?
yeah, we're doing a review. We're watching The Principal.
Yeah,
I came
saw
in
it.
here and I told, what's up?
No, I got your message. So, and my show is pretty much dead in the water. So I thought I'll join you
you're
up.
on your show right now?
Yeah.
Cool. What's up, guys? Yeah, so I'm reviewing The Principal here, and the reason for this is that I'm telling our not pressed Dawn, but Dawn, just regular Dawn Treader. You guys know Dawn Treader? I'm sure somebody out there knows Dawn Treader. So Dawn Treader is a sweet guy that you know, he's a talker. He likes to talk about stuff. He might change his position now and then. But one thing that I cannot stand is that it's one thing to believe in a globe. If you think that it's curving based on observation and that works for you, that's fine. I don't care either way, whether it's flat, globe, concave, whatever you believe. There's actually observations to support your point of view. So I give you a pass, whatever. But huge but when it comes to the position of Earth in the universe, there's only one conclusion. I really don't see any evidence that we're moving, and I don't see any evidence that everything else is not moving around us. It's pretty much a cut case. Like, it's pretty solid. Like, there isn't any better arguments than everything else is moving around us. We are the middle. We are the central axis of
Right. There's no signs of momentum.
You know what? What's weird?
Like, there's no signs of a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, but momentum would be the most important one, of course.
I feel compelled to interrupt with breaking news, and this is semi-ironic.
Okay, second interruption. Go for it.
This for on topic. So I've been waiting to post a new. I think they're still kind of getting it peer reviewed, but it's a new challenge to the CMB symmetry, basically. And at first, you know, I like to put out whenever they have the clickbait titles, they got it wrong or whatever. I love to put up they got the model wrong articles. But now that I'm thinking about it, this might be to quell this situation, this Earth being in the center situation. Now that I think about it, yeah, because they're saying the CMB is now, they've got evidence of it not being symmetrical and expanding. Like, I'll post the thing that I have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, dude, I can. I know where this is going.
They're solving it by making it more complicated and convoluted.
Exactly. They're gonna take some morsel of information and then divide that and make it see we knew all along because this thing's divided down the road. Like, okay, shut up.
Yeah. Right, because it's just gonna lead to another complication, just like. Oops. It's just gonna lead to another complication, just like with gravity. I mean, That has never been resolved. They created the diversion of space-time bending to get it away from Newtonian, but it's just been a mess, and it's been like that for 100 years, and it's not getting resolved. And baller fanatics even just point blank state that one is the same as the other when it explicitly isn't. Yeah, but they do still do it though, and that's the point. That's the point of making it so convoluted, is that people don't fix it and they just move on beyond it, and that's the only way they can fix it because they're wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, Don, I want you to understand. There's literally no other conclusion other than faith to stationary with everything moving around it. That's the only interpretation that works.
I already disagree.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna click play now. Well, we've gone on like a 10-minute tangent.
Yeah, I mean, disagreeing with reality. Yeah, that started in the Garden of Eden, didn't it?
A baby smile.
Oh, baby smile.
The finale of a great symphony. The lights of all of the cities of our Earth shining out into space. Observe these things nowhere else.
Right. Anyway, so are we watching The Principal or not?
We are, bro.
Okay.
I have to. Just hold on, man. Hold on.
Yeah, because the stream isn't working on my end.
I know. I'm fixing something.
Okay.
Don, you don't buy into The Principal?
No, I understand that, but I disagree.
What parts do you think are the weak parts that you?
Wait, are we having a discussion right now?
My bad. Did it start? My bad.
I can mute you. You can't.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you said you were waiting.
This is a third interruption, bro. Stop your bombastic dog shit, Brandon. Stop.
I'm right here watching. Okay.
Bad dog.
What we have discovered is shocking.
There is a crisis in cosmology.
It's an exciting time for cosmology because everything has changed.
Talking about ultimate things. Seeing the fingerprint of God or the hallmarks of the Creator.
You see, in some sense, what is happening, our concept of what the universe is has changed.
The pendulum has kind of swung all the way over and kind of bit back again on the Copernican principle.
Okay, the Copernican principle is your religion, Don. I want you to realize that.
It's a
you know cosmology,
what that is? Not a religion. It's a cosmology.
No, it's the assertion that every single thing that you read and interpret must fit this heliocentric model. And so then no matter what the data says, you have to make it fit a heliocentric model. That is the Copernican principle. Okay? All right, let's go.
I don't agree
That's
with
your
that.
dude, you don't know it, but that's your religion, bro. You have no idea. That's your religion. Serious.
Right, it's the unifying.
Not a religion.
It's a unifying filter on how to treat all the information, is what it is.
Yeah. It's like, dude, Don, if you went on a dating website and you always used the Copernican filter to post your photos and then they meet you and they're like, bro, you don't even look like your pictures. That's exactly what you're doing. That's your religion.
You should both Google what it means as you watch.
People want to save the existing models because there's a lot that's invested in them.
The standard model is a really good model. It fits the observations very, very well.
Sure. If you ignore the observations.
A conflict. They run into dead ends. This is the moment of truth because they have nowhere to go.
microwave background map, kind of like a weather map, showing hotter and colder, showing how hot the radiation is that's coming from different places. This is just radio noise from our own Milky Way galaxy. We're supposed to see the same number and types of hot and cold spots in all directions, because there is no up in the universe especially. And that is sort of what we see, except not quite. This map here can be decomposed into what we call multipoles. You blur out all the little spots, and you still have the bigger ones remain. Like here is an area with a lot of blue. So when you smudge it, this will be one single big blue spot. Whereas when I smudge this, where there's a lot of red and yellow, it'll be one big blurry hot spot. On the very largest scales, we see a pattern of really big hot and cold spots which line up around a special axis, which has been dubbed the axis of evil. It's quite puzzling. Why is there a special direction in space?
Our most recent large
Take a 2-minute break. I'll be right back.
challenge the basic assumption upon which our modern scientific worldview rests, the Copernican principle. If the principle is wrong, it could mean that everything we think we know about our universe is wrong.
Is wrong. Bingo.
All of us are born with an innate need. In fact, it's hardwired into us to answer the question, who are we? Where did we come from? What does it all mean?
Was there a beginning? And if there was a beginning, was there a creator?
Cosmology used to be a very flaky subject, somewhere out there between philosophy and metaphysics.
In the early days, cosmology was really very much a matter of almost speculating about the universe without the data.
Because there weren't any empirical proofs for what they were finding. There were theories.
Cosmology. The study of the origins, structures, laws, and ultimate fate of the universe.
Now the remarkable thing about cosmology is that we have the data.
What counts as science and what doesn't?
Traditionally, people have said, well, once you get to the Big Bang itself, you're in the domain of philosophy or even theology. So it doesn't make sense to ask the question here, what happened at the Big Bang, let alone what happened before the Big Bang?
Philosophy was useful before we had natural science. Namely, you can speculate about the origin of the universe, but you can speculate till the cows come home. But until you measure things and predict things, you don't know if they happened.
But today, we think we have it. We think we have the theory of all creation, the theory of everything.
The theory of everything. The system of the world. It has always been the dream of scientists, and earlier of philosophers and theologians, to achieve a consistent and complete description of reality. In the book of Genesis, God tells Abraham, "Look up and number the stars, if you can." This is the beginning of faith and the beginning of science. In the beginning, they're both the same thing. It was the natural assumption of the ancient world to see the movements in the heavens as centered upon us. From the location of Stonehenge, near Salisbury, England, we can see the standing ruins of what may be the very first astronomical observatory, constructed from an Earth-centered, fixed viewpoint, around which the heavens revolve. If we imagine ourselves standing on a fixed world at a latitude of 51 degrees during the summer, the circle of the sun seems to rise toward the North Pole, giving us the long days of summer. Over the full course of the year, the circle of the sun will rise and fall 23.5 degrees. Add stars, and our world can be described by this diagram. Ptolemy refined a system with Earth at the center, and the puzzling back and forth motions of the planets, as seen from Earth, attributed to a series of epicycles, deferent and equant. The general assumption at the time was that the heavenly bodies should move in perfect, uniform circles, and
Ptolemy's addition of the epicycles disturbed this metaphysical notion.
Ironically, the problem with the Ptolemaic system was a particular feature in it, which was actually, in my opinion, by far the greatest discovery made in antiquity. He had the planets moving on what was called a deferent, non-uniformly. He broke the hallowed tradition that everything must move at a uniform speed on a perfect circle. And he was forced to do that because his theory, which initially had that property, didn't fit the data.
In that regard, it should be kept in mind that if you look at pictures of medieval cosmology to be at rest ultimately with respect to heaven, with respect to the throne of God.
For 1,500 years, Ptolemy's system was used as the basis of astronomy and calendars, and it worked quite well. But there were always those who detested its departure from the purely uniform, circular motion, assumed to be perfect and appropriate for heavenly bodies. Among these was Nicolaus Copernicus.
Copernicus hated that, and Copernicus set about to undo Ptolemy's greatest discovery.
While working at the request of Pope Leo X on improvements to the Julian calendar, Copernicus conceived what turned out to be the foundational idea of modernity itself. The idea that the Earth moved.
The Copernican principle is theological dynamite.
It did, in a way, all start with Copernicus, because Copernicus, we started off with the geocentric view, and Copernicus showed that is wrong, that actually it's the sun is the center of the universe as it's seen then, the Earth goes around the sun. So then we had the heliocentric view.
Copernicus told us that we're not the center of the universe. We're certainly not the center of the solar system. The sun doesn't go around the Earth goes around the sun.
That's the Copernican principle. That if we are not really special, then this gigantic universe of ours doesn't care about us. We are nothing, absolute nothing.
In the
Oh, great.
cosmology, this is called the cosmological principle. So the point is that we might think we're at the center of the universe because everything should look pretty symmetric as we look around us, around the sky, but actually any other observer would see the same thing.
It's the basis of the standard cosmologies, and it's taken for granted by almost everybody in cosmology.
When Copernicus first came along and said, hey, we humans are not so special that everything centers around us, a lot of people view this Copernican principle as something bad.
Like, Copernican revolution is the revolution of the mobility of the Earth.
Copernican principle leads to, ultimately, the idea that there is no God.
That we are nothing compared to the splendorous universe of ours.
I think
Yeah, and this is all nonsense too, if I may. Riggs.
We had this arrogance, and we got it knocked out of us. And we realized that actually, we're not the center of everything, so we can't just say,
Riggs?
I'm not going to look at what the world looks like, because I have a book.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because it's all nonsense anyway, because they're like making it about the theology of Earth being central, but I mean, the Copernican principle already presupposes that the celestial bodies are like physical places in the first instance, for which they had no evidence at all. Like back then, they didn't even remotely have any evidence. So it's just like, yeah, our place that's definitely solid, and right here physically is mathematically spinning around that light in the sky. But they don't have any evidence that it's physically moving around it at all. It's just a mathematical framework for the celestial patterns, and then just like shifting the math. That's really all it is. Like,
wait, are you saying that they're not actually just using the math that they got? They have to interpret the math to fit their model? Huh? That's not science.
No, it isn't. And they don't have any evidence. They don't have any evidence that Earth is moving around anything. It's just a mathematical interpretations based on the celestial patterns, and that's it. Right.
Yeah, Don suddenly went quiet. Go figure. He's in his comfort blanket right now, just believing in balls. Hi.
This is all about balls, this documentary.
Here, or my authority told me this is how it is. I don't need to do observations, and instead say, hey, it doesn't all center around us. We humans have to be humble. We have to look and ask Mother Nature, how do you work?
Yeah, that's an extrapolation. How about just read the information for what it says? What's wrong with that?
The greatest astronomer of the time, Tycho Brahe, developed a new geocentric model. The Earth occupies the center. Planets orbit the Sun, and the Sun orbits the Earth.
Tycho Brahe, who is a great unsung hero of this, because he did an immense number of observations, very accurate ones, very precise for a long period of time.
Well, in the Tychonic geocentric system, the Sun is traveling around the Earth literally and carrying the planets with it. So the Sun is making the ecliptic, it's not the Earth.
Tycho hired a young assistant named Johannes Kepler in 1600. Kepler, working on his own development of the Copernican system, needed Tycho's observations, but Tycho refused to part with them. When Tycho died,
Kepler's great insight was that the Sun must be playing a significant...
Okay, let's just skip over the fact that the movie just kind of alluded to the fact that Kepler killed Tycho or had him murdered or something.
Yeah, secretly and mysteriously. In other words, poison.
Yeah, let's kind of skip over that a little bit. I noticed how like they showed the image and they made it all gloomy, but they didn't say anything.
Well, I could hear it in Janeway's voice.
Yeah.
She's talking about it like, oh, naughty. Like, yeah, we know what happened.
So he said the Sun must be somehow causing them to go round. So he postulated that the Sun is rotating and had sort of spokes, which somehow got weaker as you were further from the Sun.
in Kepler's system, the Sun is in the center, while the planets move on ellipses, non-uniformly. The ellipse, with its two foci, allows us to see that Ptolemy's epicycles and equant were actually a brilliant attempt to express non-uniform motion centuries before Kepler. Indeed, once the concept of non-uniform motion is introduced, all of these systems can be shown to be geometrically identical. It was Kepler's idea that the Sun must somehow be moving the planets in their orbits that set the stage for Isaac Newton's great breakthroughs. But observational tools equal to the task would first have to be developed.
Now, it's good old Galileo was the first person in the modern age who made this clear. He made the distinction between what I think it's Locke, then the philosopher Locke, described as primary qualities and secondary qualities. The primary qualities are the shapes of objects and the way they move and the space in which they move.
Galileo employed the telescope to establish that Jupiter was itself orbited by moons. This contradicted Ptolemy's idea that all bodies orbited the Earth, and was seen as proof that the Earth must likewise orbit a much larger body, the Sun. For the first time, observational science claimed to have established an error in the Church's understanding of Scripture, and the first great battle between faith and science was joined.
The criticism has been made back in Galileo's time that it was the church that was controlling knowledge, only allowing people to think within certain boundaries.
Science and theology were wed together. They were one basic entity. Theology always had the supremacy over science.
After years of how...
Well, how does that follow? How does the Copernican principle follow with theology? Do you know, Don? Any comment there? Anything? So you're going to start with your conclusion based on theology, and then interpret what? All of the facts to make it fit your what?
Well,
Your
I don't think.
theology? Oh, so you don't. So you're just a conspiracy theorist then. You're not actually believing in the mainstream motives and models. Then you take an alternative point of view, where you don't believe that they manipulated you into believing a theology based conclusion, that you just think it's science because that's your belief. That's a
It's got
different
nothing
kind of
to do with
religion, I guess.
theology.
It has everything to do with it. That's what the documentary is about.
Precisely.
Well, you try connect it up.
They're literally
Brother.
telling you.
Yeah, it's they interpreted everything via theology, everything. And if they're starting out with something, the thing called Copernican's principle, the fact that it even exists indicates that they were pushing their theology into the results. And you're believing it, and they're buying it.
Principle doesn't mean religiously true.
Okay, now's a good time. Since you brought it up, I'm going to hang you there with your own statement. All right? I'm going to let you. All right, bro, let's do it. The Copernican principle states that Earth and humanity are not in a special place, privileged, or central location in the universe, serving as a cornerstone of modern cosmology and astronomy. Yeah. It's named after Copernicus, who proposed the sun-centered solar system. This principle implies that we observe from an ordinary or average position in space, encouraging that belief that physical laws are uniform throughout cosmos. Now, this is the lens of how you observe everything. So they have cooked theology into the scientific interpretation. Every single digit that comes out of your worldview must fit that explanation,
No,
theologically speaking.
Don't agree with that. The principle doesn't mean everything has to fit it. And it's not theology. It's
Ignorance is bliss, guys. Ignorance is bliss. What can I say?
You're denying the entire premise of the movie we're reviewing.
He's not even steel manning the people he believes.
Tell me what
That's
the premise of the movie is, Owen, and I'll tell you if I deny it.
Well, why don't you actually pay attention to what it says?
I've seen it 3 times. Thank you very much, sir.
So you keep filtering out the entire point?
No, I just
I'm not trying to piss
what
Don
Rick
off.
said
I'm not
to
trying
me,
to piss
that's
Don
all.
off. I'm not trying to piss you off, bro. All right, we can keep going. But I'm just telling you, it's going to get worse. We haven't even started. It's got to get worse before it gets better, Don.
It's not hard for me to disagree with things.
He rejected the heliocentric or Copernican universe that he had defended for about 30 years. A friend of his named Francesco Rinuccini came to him because he thought he had evidence from his astronomer named Giovanni Perioni to prove that the Earth was moving. And so they brought this evidence to Galileo, and Galileo said, well, there's no way I'm going to accept this. And it was a very long letter that he wrote, explaining the theology, the science, and everything he needed to explain that Perioni couldn't have found proof that the Earth was moving. Rinuccini got the letter, and as soon as he got it and read it, he erased Galileo's signature off the letter, because he didn't want anybody to know that Galileo had finally repented of his heliocentric views.
However, when Giordano Bruno's ideas were similarly condemned, Bruno resisted to the bitter end.
Giordano Bruno got burnt at the stake the year 1600 for writing about an infinite space.
He was burned alive in the streets of Rome in the year 1600 for simply saying that there are other worlds out there, that there's nothing essentially special about our world. So why would the Catholic Church burn this person alive in the streets of Rome? Because
But by the way, Riggs, is there any way to get the volume of the video a bit higher?
It is all the way up, so it's
Oh.
probably the setting on your end.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a when someone's streaming a video on Discord, there's a separate volume for that.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at the video at the bottom right, there's probably a little slider somewhere. It goes up and down, I think. We good?
The question is, are there people on these other planets? If so, do they have a savior? If so, do they have a pope? If so, how many saints do they have? Imagine 1 billion popes.
Oh.
A trillion.
Oh, they have to interpret everything through theology? They don't? Is that what you said, Don? Oh, how many popes are there on these other planets that we're imagining through our theological interpretation?
Saints. How many trinities are there? The mind goes crazy contemplating a universe of universes. And so what did the church do? They simply burned them alive.
Bruno told his inquisitors at his sentencing, "It may be that you fear more to deliver judgment upon me than I fear judgment." Henceforth, science would increasingly assert its independence from the influence of the church.
How, though? How is it being independent when all these people are literally getting funded by the church? It's not like they have
Extending
commercial
Kepler's
business
famous
alongside that.
Laws of planetary motion, Isaac Newton published his Principia Mathematica in 1687. This most influential work in all of scientific history introduced Newton's theory of universal gravitation, the first and still the greatest attempt to construct a true system of the world.
When Newton came with his theory in the late 1600s, it was felt by many people that he had resolved the whole situation, the choice between Copernicus and Tycho, by means of his equations for mechanics.
But what happened was people misunderstood what Newton really said.
But actually what Newton said was that both Copernicus and Tycho would have been wrong, because neither the sun nor the Earth would be the center of the solar system or universe, but you'd have to look at centers of mass and things of that nature.
He didn't say that the smaller goes around the larger. He said that both bodies go around the center of mass. So even in the heliocentric system, it's not the Earth going around the sun. Scientifically and technically, we would say that the Earth and the sun are going around one point called the center of mass. It just so happens that Newton agrees that you could have a rotating star field, and if you do, then the center of mass is going to be somewhere in the middle of that rotating star field. And it just so happens that any object can occupy that center of mass. What that does is it nullifies the objection that the smaller always has to go around the larger. That would be true in 99.
Dude, just using math. Okay, hey, I came up with the mathematical conclusion. Doesn't match any observation, but hey, that's math, bro.
Yeah, and they're also leaving out that using this system, they could completely not include the orbit of Mercury at all. They're leaving that fact out. It's that it makes the heliocentric system work, except for Mercury, which literally does not fit in the cycle at all.
It's the precession of Mercury, is that right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be there. It should have been swallowed by the sun, mathematically.
Well, you know, the sun was already full. It wasn't hungry that day.
Wouldn't be true. And that's where that star field is rotating around the center of mass.
Newton had introduced the idea of absolute space and time, which is something a bit like, as regards space, which is the more important concept, a bit like this room, a rigid framework in which you can sensibly say that a thing is moving in a straight line.
Newton's theory was based on the idea of an absolute space through which objects could be shown to be in motion. His famous bucket experiment was designed to show that motion was not relative, but had to be occurring within absolute space.
Newton had hung a bucket full of water in his room in Cambridge, and he'd wound the bucket round, then held it still with the cord of the rope all twisted, and the water in the bucket level. Then he'd let go of the bucket, and the bucket had started to spin, and its centrifugal force makes it go up the side of the bucket. And Newton argues from that concavity of the water surface can't be explained by relative motion, because when the relative motion between the bucket wall and the water was greatest, the water was flat, and when it had stopped and there was no relative motion, the concavity was greatest.
Newton argues, therefore, there must be an absolute space that allows us to say that motion is not relative.
Newton didn't provide a mechanism. He just provided the behaviors of objects in gravitational fields. He never accounted for what caused the field.
So although it was widely thought that
this bucket thing, that the effects are caused by, like, for example, this motion, but there was no mechanism in space. So, like, he proposed an idea, gave it some kind of like attribution, but there was no cause for it. So
Mach provided an alternate explanation. According to Mach's principle, the Earth could be considered as of the universe. The fact that the universe is orbiting around the Earth will create of the universe. The fact that the universe is orbiting around the Earth will create the exact same forces that we usually ascribe to the motion of the Earth. Mach's ideas would strongly influence the later development of the theory of relativity.
And Mach's principle says that you should get exactly the same effects whether the Earth is rotating in the universe or whether the Earth is fixed and the universe is rotating about it.
Motion is relative.
But,
all the objects in the
but
universe
what is the
must
actual
be
evidence for
relative
that,
to each
though?
other.
Mach's principle.
It's just an idea that happens. How did they actually demonstrate that?
yeah, exactly.
There's not even
I mean,
a
they
lead.
came up with an excuse. They didn't explain even why or how it makes sense.
It's just something they made up. It's like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter which one. It's gonna have the same result. Oh really? What empirical test are you like basing that on? Nothing. Just nothing. It's just a out of nowhere statement. Weird.
That because all we observe is relative motion.
It's like, yeah, if your girlfriend caught you out on a date with some other chick and you're like, yeah, but maybe I have a twin out there. Maybe I got a twin that looks just like me and everything, and they live really close to here. And you're just imagining everything. He's like, I guess that's possible, you know.
Then once you start talking about absolute motion, that means you've imported a metaphysical principle into the system.
Mach had such absolute conviction that motion must be relative. He said, well, actually, it's nothing to do with the Earth rotating relative to absolute space. It's the Earth and the stars are in relative rotation. There's a relative rotation between them.
Rotation is relative. That is, you cannot tell by measuring centrifugal and inertial forces whether you are rotating or the universe is rotating, because you will see the same effect no matter which one it is.
And Mach then said, that's the cause of the oblation of the Earth, that it's not a perfect sphere. Whenever there is relative rotation, however you like to look at it, there will be that effect. And in fact, he goes back and says you can actually look at this from either the Ptolemaic or the Copernican point of view. You have to just concentrate on what is objectively true and say that if there is a relative rotation, then the Earth will be oblate.
By the end of the 19th century, The triumph of the Copernican system seemed complete.
How
Only
though?
one tiny detail had
Didn't
eluded the
Newton already like describe how a bucket moving in circular fashion would yield like a concave surface, while holding it still leaves a perfectly flat surface? Right?
Yeah.
Didn't he demonstrate the contrary to it? That leading to the conclusion that it's in an absolute space. This is just completely ignoring all that and just, we mentioned that and now we're just going to ignore it and move on away from this.
Science! That's some like Bill Nye thinking right there.
But you see it, right?
Yeah, I know. They skip steps. They what they're doing is they're keeping their interpretation while just adding on and tacking on things that couldn't possibly exist on top of something that's fraudulent.
Right, they roll
Like,
it
they
out like
interpret
it is a
everything through that
natural
lens.
continuation that rests on that Newton conclusion, but it doesn't. It completely contrasts with it. They just don't address it. So it'll just like roll in like nothing, like it is.
That's par for the course.
It's very
I don't know,
strange.
man. I'm trying to tell Don here that like all these interpretations are religious, and that, you know, if you were a true scientist, you would just accept the data for what it says. You know, and what it says is that there's no indication of this motion, that you have to add it in.
Physics at the time, including Maxwell's famous equations for electrodynamics, was based on the assumption that space was filled with a substance, an ether through which light and other electromagnetic waves would propagate. But all attempts to directly measure the motion of the Earth around the Sun through this ether had paradoxically resulted in an apparent velocity of 0. The stage was set for one of the most important events in the history of physics, the Michelson-Morley experiment.
1887 Michelson-Morley experiment. If the Earth were moving through an ether, then a sort of ether wind would be created at the surface of the Earth. A light beam projected directly into this ether wind would be expected to move slower than a light beam projected across the ether wind.
Okay, Don, do you agree with that?
Was it?
Would you, okay, if we're in motion and light has a specific speed, right? If the Earth is spinning, that you should be able to detect differences in that motion if you shoot them off in different directions, right?
I guess, for the sake of argument,
Okay,
maybe.
like,
you could
okay,
detect
if
it.
you're on if you're in a spinning ball, right? And I throw a ball, let's say up north, and then I throw a ball east, for example, those two balls would have completely different motions. One would be preserving momentum, one would be creating its own situation, and they would have different distances, right?
Oh, that's completely different. Maybe, yeah. In that case, maybe too, yeah.
Dude, that's okay. That's what this is, man. You know, you would be able to calculate what you would expect from those motions, given the model you're appealing to religiously, and then you could decide if they match. So you could test the faith, because you should always be testing your faith in religion, yeah.
So my answer is, I'm sure you can tell the difference by doing more and more tests, and that's how I think I chose, because I believe the people that said they did test enough to tell the difference.
Okay, well, I'm telling you right now, we're about to get into it, but yeah, I don't want to cut off the movie. Hold on, let's go.
If we project the beams across a known distance and then recombine them, we would expect the two waves to be out of phase by an amount that would tell us the distance the Earth had moved.
If the Earth is moving through the ether, then light waves going one direction relative to us should travel at a different speed then another direction. It's like if you're in a fast-moving river and you're swimming along with the current, you're swimming much faster relative to the shore than if you're swimming against the current. So what the Michelson-Morley experiment was designed to do was measure the speed of light in one direction versus...
Yeah. Go ahead.
I do know. I have bias because I've watched it before, but that doesn't necessarily decide what I think now. So I don't believe the light test is that good, because light could just be moving with Earth. So all tests could be flawed in this way, where you're trying to tell the difference locally.
No, bro. No, you can even test for that. So yeah, you're not. Maybe you haven't wrapped your mind around this yet. They go into it. No worries. They got you. We got you, bro.
This is another direction to see how fast we're moving through the ether. And what it discovered was it's the same in one direction as the other.
Michelson-Morley couldn't measure any effect of...
Wait. Are you saying that the results indicate that precisely the speed came at the same time?
Yeah, because the Earth is stationary.
We couldn't tell.
So, are you saying that
in
from
this
any observer, it would make light look like it's taking different speeds, and just to make it the same time by the time we receive it? So we're hallucinating a special quality of light that makes it match up with a very particular speed that we otherwise wouldn't expect.
I just have to point out for a second, though, that the light having a speed and therefore requiring ether is entirely presupposed in the first instance.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Like, we're literally we're ignoring any real theories here. We're just looking at the information. The information comes back with light being the same speed, same speed in both directions. So this is a way that we can test our presumptions. So they're saying that what are they saying, Arwen, that the longer speed of the longer length or something had to shrink in order to meet up with the shorter one at the same time? Is that right?
Yeah, I guess it's all about like light having a speed in a fixed universe, and that the ether would carry its motion, that the ether is irrespective to any physical bodies moving within this space, and they're going by that. And then light would have different apparent speeds in the different directions.
That's a problem.
But it isn't, though.
The light
but
would
hold
have
on.
the same
It can either prove that Earth is stationary, or literally that ether does not exist, potentially because light doesn't actually have a frickin' speed at all.
Yeah, that too. But I just mean in regard to arguing with Don here. So like either light doesn't have a defined speed, and it pretends to reach your expectation, that it literally knows what you're anticipating and meets your expectation, which is it would just show up at the same time if that was what you were expecting, or light is a finite speed and the apparatus shrunk. What do you think, Don? Do you think the apparatus shrunk? That the fixed machined equipment actually shrunk on one side using the same beam of light?
My mind's already at the hypothesis of this.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like in this worldview you have, the speed of light is a fixed speed. So you have no other choice than to say, every single piece of mirror and space that this other beam of light was traveling through actually shrunk. There's no other conclusion that you allow yourself religiously.
What?
If you're shooting one laser and that laser is being split by a mirror into two beams, and one shows up at a different, and they both show up at the same time, but one's longer, for example, you'd have to say that the longer one shrunk, right? To meet up at the same time.
I'm happy to go with the fastest light can go, and usually goes, is a constant that we've found so far.
Okay, but in order for it to be a constant and then meet up at the same time, one of those beams had to shrink, which means you're not having less light speed, you're having less area, which means the area shrunk on the same table. Do you believe the area shrunk? Yes.
No, I don't know about that.
Okay, but this is your system that you believe in. That's what dude, it's like if you're holding two flashlights and like one of them's longer than the other and you're telling me that it's not.
It's like, Don, why do you believe in Lorentz contractions? Just to save continuity. Like, the continuity is not in jeopardy.
You're confusing him now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can get, dude, it's late. There's more in the video. Like, but yeah, you're confusing him now. I'm trying to go step by step. That's the point of the movie.
Of Earth's orbit, even though the assumption was at the time that would affect the measured.
Here, just so that I'm not like leaving you in the dust, Don. Lorentz contraction. Lorentz just came up. Oh, dude, all he did was he found a calculation that someone else came up with to make the numbers fit within a certain size. You know what I'm saying? You know, like in your paint program, when you take a box and then you take the corners of that box and you shrink it. All he did was find a way to squeeze the larger object into a shorter space.
I know where we're at video, yeah, so far. He's saying at this point in history, they did this test and they couldn't tell the Earth was moving from this test. I get that.
So they can't tell what that means. Is that a conclusive thing or an inconclusive thing?
No. Their conclusion is heliocentricity. They're just on the axis of evil.
So if Newton's in a little car and his car is going the speed of light next to a light, he should be at the front of the light, right? Now what happens when he turns his headlights on? Where does that other light go? Does it meet his
It's
headlight?
an interesting experiment. That's what I'll give it.
Do you follow what I said though?
No, I didn't.
The Lorentz thing, or did you skip it? I tried to tell you, bro. You just kind of like walked past it.
No, I get that. That's another man who corrected stuff with math to try and add to the theory of the cosmos.
But corrected with math, dude. They just pretended phenomenon happens that doesn't happen.
Hey, bro. Okay, look, John.
about-
For example, let's say that you got a new girlfriend, and she says, "Bro, your dingling is small. You got a small dick." Okay, and you're like, "Yo, lady friend. Actually, the area around my wanker shrunk, so it just looks smaller."
I don't
It's
know
actually
if that's
massive.
what they said.
I have a massive wanker, but the area is just shrunk there because I'm a scientist, and you're not smart enough to understand how big my
Does this
wanker
guy
is.
say that's one of the conclusions?
You can't see it from your point of view.
That's literally what they've done. There's a
Okay.
beam of light in your worldview. Light has a very special, like a very specific speed. And if the beam shows up at the same time and one length is longer, they have to say that one length shrunk. Your wanker shrunk, dude. That's why it looks
don't know
smaller.
what that
That's
shrunk
literally now.
means.
Perspective.
It's refraction.
Yeah,
Okay, look,
it's-
I went
it's-
off on the deep end. I'm sorry.
It's conservation of momentum. Yeah, your dick is a
Light doesn't
dick is a
have
different color
momentum.
depending on what angle they're looking at. Sorry.
What's up, Arlen?
How can it be conservation of momentum when it doesn't have any
He's
mass?
just being, Dude, he's just throwing out a bunch of weird stuff to make it funny.
I guess. I just wanted to share for a bit that according to my search result, in 1676 supposedly, some Danish astronomer called Ole Rømer, calculated the supposed speed of light based on supposed Jupiter's moon eclipse delays. Like that's
in 1600.
Yeah, in 1676.
I'm a conclusion.
According to this, and then it's only supposedly confirmed in 1983. Yeah, it was all based on celestial derivatives for such a long time. It's only very recently that supposedly it was measured. It's just been, a celestial derivative calculation for centuries. Just a concept.
All right. Appreciate it, Owen. That's a good one. Yeah, dude, they've been measuring the speed of light for a really long time. And I'm not even saying that they have measured it, but like it's been done like dozens of times if you actually go back. And depending on who you're talking to, they will attribute it to a different person because it's been done so many times. And not everybody is aware of how many times it's been done. But they do it in different ways and they extrapolate different things. Like you said, in 1600s, they were looking at the sky and trying to measure the speed of light. It's ridiculous. It's not a direct measurement. It's like using all these pre-cooked assumptions because they
based it on a delay of celestial
through the lens
sightings.
of their cosmology and their theology. They're trying to create explanations.
Yeah, but they based it on supposed moon eclipse of Jupiter. I mean, that's how bizarre and remote and heavily presupposed the entire thing is.
Precisely. All right, go forth.
Speed of light.
All right. The conclusion of the Michelson-Morley, this conclusion directly contradicts the explanation which presupposes that the Earth moves empirically. Like, this is what I was trying to tell you, Don. The data itself ain't looking good for you, bro. For your religion, anyway. I mean, it's looking good for everyone else, but the religious stuff, not so much.
The experiment failed to detect the Earth moving in or against the ether. The problem was serious. Although various solutions were advanced, in the end, science was faced with a choice. Either discard the ether, or admit that the Earth wasn't orbiting the Sun. It was Albert Einstein who came up with the solution, which now forms the basis of our physics, and which we call the theory of relativity.
So they basically admit, okay, we have this test, and we're going to now choose to ignore it completely in favor of another mathematical concept that doesn't have any actual backing to it. It's just another calculation. So they ignore evidence.
Yeah.
Actual empirical evidence.
They also
telling.
made this assumption the assumption baked into this was that at the time it was a common understanding that there was like a substance that was what's it called, persistent, like a persistent medium, like an ether, and they presumed, the assumption is that they presumed the ether was stationary and that it also didn't have any motion or whatever. Like, that was baked in. So regardless of what I'm believing or what I think's going on, this is what they believed, that there was an ether possibly, and they would test against the idea if it were a stationary ether. They're presupposing the Earth's motion could help them understand more about that.
They would discover in terms of the ether, there just wasn't any ether there. There were relative motions between objects.
Which told us there wasn't an ether, and laid the basis for Einstein's theory of relativity, which says there is no ether. That light always travels the same speed, no matter which direction it's going, or even whether it's emitted from a moving source or a source that's standing still.
They didn't prove there was no ether, though. They just
Yeah.
disproved that there was an ether in a moving world.
Correct. It could be a moving ether on a stationary world, which makes sense with everything else, because we have wind that moves independently of the earth. We have cars that move independently of the earth. We have people walking that move independently of the earth. Everything is independent of the earth. Why would they ever presume anything other than that?
Right, but all I'm
Absolute
saying is
bonkers.
they didn't prove or disprove the ether. It's still a concept. They just disproved the ether in a moving world. That's the only thing that was specifically disproven empirically. And that is all. Doesn't prove or disprove ether being there. It doesn't prove or disprove light having a speed. Carry on.
So how did Einstein do it? An earlier explanation proposed by physicist Hendrik Lorentz had suggested that the measuring arm of the Michelson-Morley apparatus was being compressed by the ether in the direction of motion, just enough to make it look like we were standing still.
Wow, talk about mental gymnastics.
Lorentz.
Yeah, so like my girlfriend finds me at a bar with a chick, and I say, actually no, ma'am, Miss Girlfriend, the light in the bar just made it look like I was actually at the bar with another chick. I promise, you're just imagining it. It was just the light playing tricks on you, bro.
Says, well, the length must contract a little bit to make it look like it's the same, even though it's not. I believe that interpretation is still correct, that we do in fact have length contraction. He was closer to the correct explanation than Einstein's later theories.
Einstein eliminated the ether as the cause and said that it was simply a principle of nature. That when objects move through empty space, they contract in length. They decrease in the time traveled, and their mass increases, all by the same proportion, which is now known as the Lorentz transform. Hence, in order to maintain the Copernican principle, the length, time, and mass of moving objects were altered. And this is the essence of Einstein's special theory of relativity.
It was a null experiment. They were very disappointed because they couldn't measure the motion of the Earth through the ether. And Michelson himself was extremely disappointed that he couldn't do it.
And the fact that he wasn't able to measure anything was startling to a lot of people.
It bends the frickin' space-time, man. It changes the actual space, it changes the weight. Things moving just change their dimension. Okay, so what is actually done to demonstrate that that does happen? I mean, we can make things move in relation to other things. Was it actually confirmed through measurement? No. Nothing demonstrated.
It's actually so big and so fast, it just looks a lot smaller. You know?
Yeah, but if this is such a solid principle that is universal, you would be able to measure that, even just minutely. But there's not even a suggestion that something was physically done to demonstrate it. It's just a wild concept, and it's just taken for granted.
What's even worse about all this is that here I am trying to explain it to Don, but they actually did measure a slight bit of precession, because I think it was off by they were expecting 21 or 27 kilometers or something, and they ended up getting 7. So it wasn't precisely the same time, but it was totally outside of what their expectations were. So you can't have a world, for example, that is it actually disproved their claim even more, because they would essentially have to admit that the rotation doesn't match with the precession that they measured, and so then light would also necessarily be somewhat not consistent, even though it depends on their consistency to have it. It's like they basically just have to lie about this whole result. They just have to lie about the whole thing and its consequences.
One of the remarkable consequences of the adoption of relativity was that every argument advanced from Galileo forward to prove the motion of the Earth around the Sun had to be abandoned. This point is made by Einstein in a book he published in 1938. The struggle, so violent in the early days of science, between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus would then be quite meaningless. Either coordinate system could be used with equal justification. The two sentences, the sun is at rest and the earth moves, or the sun moves and the earth is at rest, would simply mean two different conventions concerning two different coordinate systems.
So the problem with this, okay, so you see how they position it as a dichotomy? And this is why I said they lied about it. They actually did measure a small precession. They actually did measure that. And I don't know, maybe they could claim it's perhaps an anomaly or whatever, but it has since been confirmed as a consistent result. So there is no this is a true false dichotomy. Both of them, they're trying to make it seem like it's one or the other so that they can come up with the excuse that fits only one of them.
Yeah, but because
instead
what,
of the
again, what
reality
he's
being
doing
that
is
light has an induction speed which is different based on similar like the refractive index, for example. Light has different speeds through different mediums, so it's too variable. There's no like you can't, it doesn't just directly fit into this false dichotomy. Like there's more to be interpreted.
Yeah, because it ignores the physical. It favors the mathematical patterns and how math, raw math, can be exchangeable, because there's no physical consequences to math, right? But since we're talking about physics, because that's what it really is about, what's physically happening, they're just going to the math and then ignoring the physics and say, yeah, in the math it's all just exchangeable. Yeah, if you're going to ignore the physical, and that's what they're doing. That's what that is.
And they frame it with these two choices so that it's easier just to kill one in your mind. That's it. It's like one or the other.
But if Einstein is wrong, then we had the problem that all these measured velocities of the Earth being zero stand unchallenged and unqualified. So the Earth is not moving exactly like the Michelson-Morley interferometer says it's not moving. Albert Einstein himself said that if Michelson-Morley is wrong, then relativity is wrong. All I have to do to shut up geocentrists is to run this experiment up on the moon and see what's going to happen. Of course, Einstein dies on the vine the second that you get a non-zero result on the moon with the Michelson-Morley interferometer, and all of a sudden that Earth is not moving, and all of physics collapses with that experiment. I think there's a reason not to put the experiment on the moon and to pretend that we already know the result and to whistle in the dark and mock the opposition.
If one day God comes down from above and says, look, these two great theories, relativity and the quantum theory, are wrong, what would I say? First of all, I would say, oh my God, all my published works are wrong. I mean, I'll have to look for another job.
And I've heard people say that the reason they don't want to publish papers that disagree with special relativity or general relativity is that they built their careers on this, and that it would be admitting a major mistake.
But second of all, once I collect my wits, I would simply say, but of course. You see, we are approaching truth, but can you actually get to absolute truth?
If you were paranoid, you'd say there's a conspiracy. Whatever it is, there is a lot of resistance to getting something published that disagrees with either of Einstein's two theories.
By the end of the 1920s, astronomer Edwin Hubble, working with the large 100-inch telescope atop Mount Wilson outside Los Angeles, had established that our galaxy was only one of many galaxies in the universe. His observations presented serious new challenges to the Copernican principle.
Well, he looks through his telescope and he sees galaxies for the first time. We had powerful telescopes back then. And not only does he see galaxies, but he sees these galaxies with what they call redshift. The wavelength of the light is now being stretched, so you see more red than you see blue.
Redshift. A shift in the wavelength of light toward the red, or lower energy end of the spectrum, giving the appearance that the light has either lost energy or has had its wavelength stretched by some physical force, as in the expansion of space.
Amazing law.
Or
at other
it's
galaxies
just
on
light that is all the way on that end of the spectrum for some reason.
Well,
Right?
dude,
It's
if the
only
light's traveling away from
redshift
you,
is all
right, it's like a
based on
Doppler effect.
dude. Yeah,
Well,
it's
you
all.
paused. Go ahead.
No, it's just that the whole redshift again is based on the assumption that light is traveling, that it is emanating from some vast distance, and basically it surrounds the Big Bang principle. Like without the Big Bang principle, which was figured out much later, it has nothing to stand on. Like where are you deriving the idea from that is what is happening? It's like, oh, it's red because it's not able to move as fast towards us, so it's slower. It's like, oh, so you're presupposing that there's the universe expanding in order for that to occur, leading to the redshift. That's literally what it is. Because if you don't do that, it's just red light. It's just like, oh, there's light on that side of the spectrum. Okay, that's it.
Well, the energy would, okay, like if you threw a ball, right, the energy would dissipate over the distance it's traveling, right? So let's say that there's something moving in the sky and it's in perpetual motion, right? And it's preserving its motion. It would still require the light to travel more distance to get to you. Thus, the light would be modified. It would indicate a different eminence at your position because it took longer for that light to get to you.
Well,
right?
that's
'Cause
the
as it's
explanation
overhead,
they
it's
give
more
to
direct.
it.
Sorry?
That's the explanation they give to it. But I mean, can't really be proven that the speed of light is being altered. I mean, it's just another part of the spectrum, and mathematically, it's formulated as if it has something to do with the light speed being changed. Yet, there's no evidence that the actual supposed speed, which it is as presupposed as can be, is actually being changed. It's
Right.
just they break it up like with a prism. It's like breaking up the light. It then yields on one side the red light. It is just assumed that because it's on one side, that means it's slower, and then it can be basically the rest can be filtered out. That's all they do. There's no freaking alteration of speed at all, ever. There's no speed.
Well, I don't like the way that she presupposed this. Like she introduces it with like a favorable definition for like the globe universe. So I don't like this definition, but
Expansion of space.
Amazing law. We look out at other galaxies. On
the
average, they're
expansion of space. I mean, that's a cooked answer. So
Yeah, it's
away
exactly.
from us.
That's what
And
they
those
need
that
to
are twice as
presuppose.
far away are
They're
moving twice
presenting.
as
Hold
fast,
on.
and those that are 3 times as far away moving.
trying to press the button.
Sorry. They're presenting it all like, oh look, redshift. Oh, yeah. Well, they don't tell you that like redshift doesn't lead to the conclusion the universe is expanding. No.
Exactly.
The universe is expanding is the foundation for the assumption that the redshift is there as a consequence of the universe expanding. Otherwise, there's no need to have any conclusion. It's just freaking red light. That's it.
Yeah, they say
Well,
that
it's
it's
shifted light, that's
expanding in
fine.
such a way that it makes it look like it's all going the same speed.
Right, or it had passed through a medium that shifted it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They could be looking for a new phenomenon, the shifting phenomenon, rather than, you know what I'm saying? It could be another mechanic.
Sure. But the
altogether.
point is, in the presentation, they're rolling it out like, oh, redshift. Oh, look, here comes way to the conclusion that the universe might be expanding. But that's literally intellectually dishonest. Because they would have never come to that, like to the concept of redshift without the universe expanding as a foundation to come to that conclusion. They would have never happened. It's dishonest that they do that.
And I know we're cutting off this whole presentation, like the video hasn't even gone into it yet. But Don, I want to just stress that, like, it's no different. Like when you stand in front of a mirror, like a flat mirror, you look at yourself, you know, you comb your hair, you know, you fix your tie or whatever, right? But this is no different than walking in front of like a big sine wave, like clown mirror, and you looking normal. So you're saying that the mirror is shaped in such a way that you actually just look normal, even though it's all squiggled and the mirror is all like wobbly and stuff. But when you look in it, you actually just look normal, like a regular person. Like that's basically what's happening here. They're saying that the mirror is shaped in such a way that, like, even though it's all bent up and messed up and everything, like you look normal through it. Can you imagine a mirror like that? No, it's not. It doesn't make sense. Like mirrors work because they're flat, which gives you concrete expectations about, like, you know, your appearance, right? And if you go into like a bent mirror, you're going to look bent in that mirror, right? Okay, well, this mirror is bent all over the place and you look normal. So it already doesn't make sense.
3 times as fast. And of course that makes us look like we're the center of the universe, but it's not true. It just means the universe is expanding uniformly.
Now, he struggled with this. He didn't know whether to say that the redshift was a velocity indicator, that is, that the galaxies are being stretched apart from us, and that's why the wavelength of that light is being stretched so we see red, or it could be something else, you see. But he was pressured a lot by the Copernican principle to say, well, okay, let's say it's a velocity factor. The redshift is a velocity factor, and yet I'm not quite comfortable with that because that puts us in the center.
Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous, in a sense, to the ancient conception of a central Earth. This hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcome and would only be accepted as a last resort in order...
Wait, why is the science unwelcome? Don, oh no, are they performing religion right now?
Yeah, they just didn't like it.
Is this dogma?
They didn't like it.
Oh, it's dogma. Oh, it's religion. It's the Copernican dogma religion.
to save the phenomenon. Therefore, we disregard this possibility. The unwelcome position of a favored location must be avoided at all costs. Such a favored position is intolerable.
Hubble never believed in the expanding universe because he had the wrong value of the Hubble constant.
Hubble constant. The presumed
Right,
rate
because
of space
if it were
radiation
true,
from
everything they believed in was wrong, and they would have built their entire careers on erroneous principles.
Yeah, but like, it is wrong.
Yeah.
Because it is true. So, religion?
galaxies are believed to be moving away from each other in the expanding universe theory.
Now, it's one of the most important numbers in cosmology, because once we know how fast a galaxy a million light years away from us is moving, simple physics to work backwards and figure out how long ago we were together.
But that left the centrality issue unsolved. A new idea would be required.
Friedman came up with the expanding models, which have this kind of paradoxical property that they're spatially homogeneous and isotropic, so everything looks the same everywhere and everything looks the same in every direction.
On this guy's neck, and they were squeezing. You can still see the marks.
Okay, I can see
This
the
guy
video.
has never had an exciting day in his life. He was an order follower. He was a quiet mouse-like person that was told what to do all the time, and he was just pumping out shit because they told him to. Excuse my language. Look at this guy. This guy's not a genius. He's a button pusher. Look at him.
Yeah, I can't see the video, unfortunately.
Friedman.
I guess log back in or like refresh it. Control R.
Okay.
Works for me. Anyone else not see it? All right.
Came up with the expanding models, which have this kind of paradoxical property that they're spatially homogeneous and isotropic, so everything looks the same everywhere and everything looks the same in every direction everywhere. And therefore, although from your viewpoint it looks as if everything is expanding away from you, from every other galaxy's viewpoint it looks as if everything is expanding away from you.
You can say that they're being expanded because you see their redshift.
People that believe in the expansion of the universe claim that it's like a muffin with raisins embedded.
Exactly as the Copernican principle requires. Imagine a cake in an oven with raisins. As the dough rises, the raisins move apart from each other, just as galaxies would move away from each other on the surface of a balloon.
So if you curve it and you put these galaxies on the surface of that curve...
Space can curve. Space is dynamical. It can bend, it can expand, it can contract. And one of the great holy grails of cosmology, in fact, the reason I got into cosmology originally as a particle physicist, was to determine which kind of universe we live in. Because the fact that the universe is curved
this great universe of ours. But the bottom line is you have to look at the data. The data shows that the universe seems to be remarkably flat. And how do you get a flat universe from a Big Bang? Well, one possibility is inflation. In fact, it is the simplest way to get a flat universe.
Inflation is the hypothesis that the universe had, at its very beginning, an extremely rapid, exponential expansion that exceeded the limit on the speed of light set by the special theory of relativity, resulting in a space that is flat and homogeneous.
Think of a balloon and put a bug on it. The bug...
Oh, other things can be flat, just not the Earth. Oh, okay. Got it. Special pleading for your outside world model, but not for like the direct measurements and observations. Got it. No problem. Understood.
Thinks that the balloon is flat because he's very small and the balloon is very big. However, it's a balloon. It is curved. However, it looks flat only because the bug is very small. We are the bugs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
We choose to go to the moon.
Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. It really is.
Coming on the heels of Hubble's discoveries, observations in the middle part of the 20th century showed that spiral galaxies didn't appear to be obeying the laws of gravity.
Several decades ago, we found a problem so great that it was brushed under the carpet for many a decade. And this is the fact that galaxies spin too fast. We believe in the work of Isaac Newton, at least on planetary scales, but when you apply Newton's laws of motion to the galaxy spins too fast. In fact, 10 times too fast. By rights, the galaxy should fly apart. Therefore, scientists said that we have to have dark matter, a halo of matter that surrounds the galaxy and holds the galaxy together.
Dark matter, hypothesized form of matter introduced to allow conventional theories of gravity to explain the observed anomalies in galaxy rotation and expansion.
I mean, if you're going to use Newton's laws, F equals ma, and you're going to use Einstein's tensor equation, then you better have the matter and energy in the universe to make it work. But it ain't there.
Between 1% and 3% of the universe is all the stuff we can see, and somewhere between 99 and 97% of the universe is stuff we can't see. This dark matter that dominates our galaxy, we think, we're virtually certain now, is made of some new type of elementary particle, different than the stuff that makes you and I up.
And what have they discovered? Absolutely nothing. Zilch.
What is a little bit perturbing is that after 50 years, we still haven't found what the dark matter is. But on the other hand, that doesn't mean they're not there. It just means they're harder to find than we thought.
Doesn't mean I'm lying. It just means that I haven't figured out a better lie yet.
Well, it really comes down to there's not enough mass in the universe to cause gravity to work out. So they just invent something that's literally invisible, immeasurable, to have that mass that they need.
Absolutely.
And it's absurd when you really think about it.
Yeah, like our last lie didn't work so well, so now we're operating with the best lies that we have available to us.
Of every galaxy moving away from us is zero. And that's strongly suggestive that the universe actually came from nothing. In fact, every measurement we can make about the universe is really consistent with a universe that came from nothing.
Nothing. Generally understood as the absence of anything, but sometimes used in modern cosmology to refer to an unseen form of something, virtual particles and the quantum vacuum.
Something from nothing. A key concept in modern cosmology. But this turns out to be a very unusual kind of nothing, since it apparently contains at least two somethings: energy and a law of gravity.
Well, it's a strange time in cosmology. It's an interesting time because we don't understand anything, or rather, we don't understand nothing. Because it turns out nothing is almost everything.
If you understand nothing, you understand everything.
Turns out the dominant stuff in the universe is nothing, and we don't have the slightest understanding of why.
Yeah, that's called philosophically spinning out of control. That's what that is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're way far gone. Dude, what was the quote that you just said a second ago? In the 1600s, this guy was using what now to measure the speed of light?
No, they measured the delay of the moon eclipse of Jupiter. This is like really bizarre, but that's how they supposedly established it. Because of the delay of a celestial shadow happening. I don't understand it either. Like how that would even work. Wouldn't everything be delayed over that distance? So it's like there's nothing about that even makes any sense.
Well, no, it wouldn't be, because light has a particular speed, so it wouldn't be delayed. It would just be distance, and then we could use any excuse we want to contract that distance for further, BS. Right?
Nothing is really a boiling, bubbling brew of virtual particles that pop in and out of existence in a timescale so short you can't actually see them. Now, you might say, if they exist for a time that's so short you can't even see them, it's like counting angels on the head of a pin. It's like philosophy. It's not like physics. But
it's like a witch's brew. You're just conjuring shit.
Yeah. Now they're just like, what they do? They go off in their little jerk fest retreats, and then they do ayahuasca, and they go, "Oh man, dude, I saw these shapes. What if the Earth were doing this shape thing out in the space, bro?"
You have an impact, an indirect impact. On atoms and the structure of atoms in a way that we can actually predict.
So we know. Realize that nothingness is foam created by subatomic particles darting in and out of it. Subatomic particles can do this. Nothingness is foamy, I would see a bubble bath with baby universes being formed all the time.
If you have nothingness, quantum fluctuations will always produce something.
Bro, that's okay. So they're creating an extrapolation here. They're saying at different scales you should see the same exact phenomena, and so then they're extrapolating the micro and the macro as the same phenomena. When in reality, we do know that like, yeah, there is this phenomena of things like producing themselves and manifesting, like there's cell division and there's a life force there that people don't understand and all that. But it doesn't mean that like unintervened, that like a pig is just gonna spawn out of nowhere, right? Like that doesn't happen unless you're talking about like an origin source, but that's a whole different topic. Like we can observe that things don't just spawn like that at like different scales. So they're taking an extrapolation from the macro at the really small, and then they're saying, oh, well then we'd expect that out there too. So it must be the same.
What they're doing
They're
is
just gonna
adding
use
an
this.
extra dimension basically to the cosmology idea, and then just kind of like imagining the connections of what the implications of that extra dimension they suddenly add would be. But I mean, I don't see any actual evidence being presented. It's all just, oh, conceptually, our new direction will yield these concepts, but then they don't actually prove the concepts. That's it.
Yep, and that's why they call it. What's the title of their expertise? Theoretical physics.
Yeah.
And when you add gravity in the mix, it's even possible that whole universes could come from nothing.
Big bangs happen all the time, but most of them don't get anywhere. They pop back into the vacuum. But our universe was special. Our universe, for some reason, popped out of nothing and just kept on going.
So not only is all the evidence suggestive that we came from nothing, but the laws of physics tell us that it's to be expected that something comes from nothing.
They impose on the science, on their observations, they impose their worldview, which is really their religious belief system.
So the problem with cosmology is that we keep inventing theories, ad hoc theories, to try to explain the data, such as inflation, dark matter, dark energy, and so on, just to keep patching the theory up.
The energy
Yeah.
of the vacuum.
That about sums it up.
Allows an accelerated expansion of the universe.
Nobody knows what the dark energy is. There
out there, and they constitute 96% of our universe. The reason they say that is because they need it. Out there, and they constitute 96% of our universe. The reason they say that is because they need it.
Sums it up.
Of adding unobserved entities such as dark matter.
I mean, they basically have admitted.
trying to work out what the dark energy is.
Adding unobserved.
Sorry?
That's
Now we're going to find other things. Yeah, we were wrong before, we made it fit, and now we're finding other things that are wrong because we made it fit before because we were wrong then too. Just adding more complication.
yeah. Well, that's what happens when you
broken
double down on a lie. It just keeps
Yeah.
escalating.
Yeah, and then you have to lie even further and even further, and it gets
And it
far
gets
more removed
ridiculous.
from reality. It's just mathematical, fascinating garb, right? To quote Tesla.
And dark energy to the Big Bang Theory might be a sign that there is something wrong in the fundamental assumptions.
In our universe, we have two great theories. God, in some sense, has a left hand and a right hand. The theory of the big and the theory of the very small. The theory of the big is relativity. It gives us black holes and big bangs and things we can see with the naked eye in outer space. Then there's the quantum theory, the theory of the atom. Now, the juncture between
Wait,
the
what?
two, that's when all.
Did he say that we can
actually split
see
the two
black
giant
holes
sizes.
with the naked eye? Really now?
I mean, you can see the void. You can see the voided area, and you predefine it that way. You know?
But the thing about space is, it's black. The thing about black holes is, it's black. How are you gonna see that with your naked eye? It's just, come on, man. It's just.
Well, you can see that. Okay, like let's for example, if I covered my eyes with a blindfold, I could say that I can see that I don't see anything.
Yay.
But that's a stretch, right? Like it's totally misframed.
Relativity side for the large and the quantum side for the small, and we haven't been able to unify all these things back together again.
There is a crisis in cosmology.
Because the quantum field theory, it says there's this vast amount of energy in the quantum vacuum. If you do a simple-minded application of that to general relativity, it tells you the universe should be accelerating an incredible number of orders of magnitudes faster than it is.
Usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something's wrong with the theory. We're off by a factor of 10. However, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120.
Did you hear that, Dawn? Did you hear that, Dawn? Are you still there? Dawn Shredder?
I am, but I'm making music as well.
Bro, you're making mistakes is what you're doing.
He just doesn't want to hear this.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear like it's religion, man.
Yeah, because I mean he's
Dude, I don't...
he's confessing. He's confessing, look, we're off so
right.
he's literally just saying it as it is. Like we're off so incredibly much. But it's because they're doubling down on their conceptions and they're refusing to see how they don't work out based on empirical data. And then, yeah, when you do that, you end up with concepts that are massively, massively incorrect. Just like doubling down on a lie leads you to self-contradicting spirals. It's exactly what that is.
Yep. Look, I'm totally fine with religious people, Don. I just would like that they admit it. That's all. That's all that kind of bugs me, man. Like, I'm fine with you believing whatever you believe. Often. Everybody comes in here, they spout their BS, bro. I listen, I'm like, okay, bro. Okay. But this is, you can't argue this. Everything is interpreted through the lens. So just admit that it is. That's all.
No, I don't consider it religious. Because it's not a deity and it's not a practice.
Yeah, but what do you then call it when somebody doubles down on a mistake and they even realize it? What do you call that then?
You're not talking about me then. You're talking about Michio Kaku or the.
I'm talking about science,
Dark
about all of astrophysics, about that peer reviewing community that they're referencing.
We sorted dark matter by saying we don't know what it is yet. We just think there's more mass.
No, you're not listening.
I'm willing to admit I may be using the wrong word. Okay? But it is based on faith. Because it's using a conclusion to reinterpret reality.
But then faith just means researching, finding good evidence, believing.
No, but they are not finding evidence. That's the entire point.
Yeah, exactly.
For what? For which bit?
Religion usually doesn't say that they could be incorrect and admits the faults that they have, right?
I disagree. I think they just have a faith-based view on what texts and what counts as gospel or like canon or whatever, right?
Yeah, and they say everything else is.
But
not
like,
towards
if they
God.
found a new document that was more legitimate, they would probably have to appeal to that document, right?
Yeah, but would they ever say that they're wrong by 50%?
Depends on the person.
Okay.
Depends on the person. I mean, I see what you're saying, but either way, like if someone's coming from a place of faith or religion, then I mean, they've already made the grave mistake that they're not performing science at that point. Not to say that it couldn't be right, but it isn't based in it. Well, possibly. I guess it depends on the founding. Anyways, he's going to finish the statements here.
That is one with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science.
Recently, some theorists have proposed that the need for dark energy can be dispensed with if we dispense with the Copernican principle itself.
There's an important point here, because if you then said, okay, let's stop here for a minute and let's suppose dark energy doesn't exist. Now, the raw data is correct. It's what we observe. But let's just change the model a bit. Let's say, okay, let's suppose for a minute that the universe is not homogeneous.
Or, to put it another way, let's suppose the universe does not follow the Copernican principle after all.
Let's see if we can fit exactly the same data with no dark energy. And the answer is yes, you can.
If we assume that Earth is in a special position, near the center of a local void, we can account for all observations without the necessity of dark energy.
This is using a description of the universe that has us somewhere near the local center, a spherically symmetric universe. But when you apply that type of a model, it actually does fit the data without dark energy.
What I'm saying is that is a possible alternative which needs to be looked at.
What do you know? We're finding more things that don't fit our presumption and worldview and the filter for all information.
Well, they're just
Let's
finding
double
out
down
that
some more.
they doubled down on a concept, like we're not gonna go there, and then things keep escalating mathematically, getting astronomically mismatched, and then they're like, but what if we just let's see what would happen if we kind of like not did that thing that led to this. It's like, oh, well, it all fits now. Oh my god. Ah, this is not good.
Right.
Like, oh, we gotta stop. Why did we ask this? Why did we think that? Like, we shouldn't have asked it. We should have just moved on with the astronomical mismatches, because now,
It's like you got on a bus, Dawn, and it went past your stop, and then it just kept going, and you're like, you know what? I have faith that it's gonna eventually go where I'm trying to what my destination is. And it's going off in the other direction 120 miles past its destination. Like it's going 120 miles past your destination, and you're like, no, I have faith that eventually I will reach my destination.
I don't know which bit you're disagreeing with.
Bro, it's because you're too busy making music instead of realizing that you are religious.
Ridiculous.
Bro, if I took an Uber and the Uber passed where my drop-off point was, I'd be like, yo, stop the vehicle immediately. But you're just sitting in the car dicking with your phone, and you're 120 miles out in the middle of nowhere going, yo, I'll get there eventually. And then he chops you up in his basement. Dumb.
So, yeah.
Oh, now you got something to say. Okay, go ahead.
If religion means system of beliefs and cosmology, that means you're religious. But
okay, well, if I think it's likely, dude, I'm not for certain flat earth. I use the term colloquially, right? Like if it's something else, I'm that. Like whatever I'm an earthist, bro. I'm an earthist. You want to call it whatever you want it? I'll call it earthist. I'm a realmist or whatever, you know? But it's not this. That's what I'm telling you. Like whatever it is, it's not this. And that we can know for sure. And that's why I'm like telling you, bro. Like at the very least, if you believe it's a globe because you don't maybe understand refraction the right way, or like you think these observations, whatever, okay, fine. Globe, flat, concave, whatever it is. But you can't look at this data. You can't look at these arguments and go, we're not the center. It's not possible. The only way you can do that is if you're just ignorant to the real science of it.
But
that's it.
If you don't believe in a globe, how is this evidence that the Earth's the center?
It doesn't matter what the Earth shape is. This is about using observation external to the Earth to determine its position, location, and its place in it. Has nothing to do with Earth shape.
So you're saying you trust it, but you don't trust it, and I should.
Well, no, it's because anybody can perform these. It's been the reason I trust it is because they've used these arguments to formulate the current interpretation of the scientific field, right? So there is something true about it, and we can talk about that. It's a completely different subject, but for example, when they say that there's a delay in a satellite, they say, oh well, the area between this place and that place shrunk or expanded or whatever the argument is there, instead of just saying, oh well, it had to travel more distance or it had to go through a different medium. So they're automatically presuming this other quality so that it's a standard. They try to standardize as much as possible. That's why they approach it from a dichomatic point of view, a false dichotomy. Dude, you're too high and you're listening to music, bro. I can't even. Look, I'm gonna keep going.
No, I heard all that.
Well, then say something.
I think you're misreading what the documentary is saying.
Okay, then steelman it.
The documentary is saying Earth is a globe, and we think, and here is a lot of times people have made theories and been wrong, and possibly we're now on a special axis in the universe that is special because the sky, man.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Didn't say that the Earth was a globe anywhere. This is all looking at the sky and looking at experiments and looking at data based on a worldview, and then reinterpreting that data to fit a previous worldview instead of what they just learned. All right.
I don't think it works on a flat, any of it.
Well, you don't know that it doesn't. That's the thing. You're presuming what the conclusion is without reading
Among
the
the
data
recent
for what it says.
large-scale surveys of our universe, the Sloan Digital
So how
Spy
can the Earth
Survey
spin
has given us
for a
our
flat
most
Earth?
Well, on a flat Earth, all of these things are somewhat variable because light can have its own attenuation and it can have different responses in different mediums. So any kind of invariance can be attributed to induction or some kind of eminence factor. Like maybe the gain is different. Maybe the power of the emanation or the power of the signal or power of the light, and then in combination to the density of the medium or its refractive properties. Like these are completely separate. But to just tantamountly say it's this and that, and then fudge all the numbers around those things, as if you know anything already, that's the dog.
But
that's not science.
That's the debunk of the whole heliocentrism, not just the center thing.
Well, I agree. Okay, I agree. But it doesn't, Earth shape is not part of this documentary. So, and I will stand to that. I've come to my conclusion based on a meta-analysis, okay?
So, but these are all globers who are saying about the positions in space.
So what? Doesn't mean anything.
So that is saying it's a globe in this.
Dude, I don't care if it's a globe or not. We're talking about outer space, bro. We're talking about our position in it, and we're talking about how they manipulated science to fit their worldview religiously. And then, they're religious.
We'll have to talk about that next.
Well, they take a theological approach to science. And then when I tell you you're religious, when you believe what their argument is, you say, no, I'm not religious. You can't have it both ways.
Isn't that the same for flat Earth?
It's straw man.
No, I'm not believing anything. I think it might be flat. I think it's very likely flat. I would bet money that it's flat. Am I saying it absolutely is no matter what? No. I am here sitting and actually looking at the interpretations for what they are, and I'm not trying to mold it to my worldview. I'm going on.
So am I. So am I.
No, all you've done, you've adopted arguments from theologists. And then you said that you're not a theologist.
And you're straw manning with flat Earth here. I mean, it's not about flat Earth.
Oh my God, I'm out. If you can't see the irony, I'm going to play.
What irony? We're not talking about flat Earth.
I'm saying it's likely flat. I think it's flat. I would bet money it's flat.
It's not relevant.
If it's flat.
And you're a man, and you thought about it the same as me. So how is it any different?
You're straw manning. It's not about flat Earth. This is about heliocentrism and how it's established. This is about the establishment of heliocentrism. It has nothing to do with flat Earth.
The argument, he said, no, that doesn't work. That's the reflection.
You're straw manning. Yeah, you're making it about flat Earth. It has nothing to do with flat Earth. This is internal heliocentric systems. This is how it was established. That's what it's about.
We've already crushed it. Thank you for everybody for participating. I don't want Don to leave though. I want to shove this dogmatic bullshit down his throat.
Complete look to date at the distribution of galaxies in the sky. Professor John Hartnett has researched these galaxy distributions and has discovered evidence of non-Copernican periodic structure in the galaxy distributions.
Uh-oh.
We looked at of the order upward of over 400,000 galaxies and sort of posed the question, well, how are these things arranged in the sky? These are three-dimensional map, and had a look at whether or not there was any structure in that. To my surprise, the mathematics bore out, and there is some very unusual structure. Now, if you look at a picture of this map, when I first saw that, it looked to me like there was concentric shells, as if the galaxies preferred to lie at some periodic spacing out from the Earth. This is sort of like saying that our galaxy is somewhere near the center of the universe, and when you look at the galaxies arrayed all around us, they're on sort of like giant shells. They prefer to lie on these concentric shells spaced out by around about 250 million light-year separation.
One of the chief difficulties faced by cosmologists is that as we look out at the cosmos, our view is partially blocked by our own Milky Way galaxy. We are able to see only about a quarter of the whole sky. As we pull up from Earth, we see the two pie-shaped wedges which constitute the data of the Sloan Digital Sky Survey. Each one of these dots represents an entire galaxy, containing on average hundreds of billions of stars, giving us a visual indication of just how astonishingly vast our cosmos actually is. As
based on a dot.
This two-dimensional slice of the sky.
Yeah, based on a dot, right?
So they're literally just like, oh, look at this dot over here. Oh, can we zoom in? No, it's just this dot. But since we're doing something here, we're gonna just assume it's like billions of stars over there. But it's just a dot though.
Yep.
We notice that there is regular, periodic, concentric structure with a preferred redshift spacing or interval, or delta Z value, between each shell of approximately 0.0246, or about 250 million light years. If we fill in the missing areas of the sky on the assumption that the distribution is more or less similar, we are in a position to get a look at how the whole 3D structure might appear as viewed from Earth. The first thing to notice is, if we looked at the universe from some point far removed from our location, we would not see the same concentric shell structure, which is directly contrary to the assumptions of the Copernican principle. In 3D, we can slice open the galaxy distributions almost as if we were looking at the layers of an onion, disclosing the concentric shell structure around us.
So every phenomenon that you see out there in the universe is all in concentric cells around where? The Earth. I mean, how do you avoid this evidence? Whether it would lead to an Earth-centered universe.
How do you
itself,
avoid this evidence? I mean, they have no evidence that it's different when you're somewhere else, right? I mean, they just said it like, oh, this means that only here on Earth are we going to see this shell structure. Suggests it's centered around, but I mean, they don't have evidence that it's any different anywhere else, though. They're just like, wow, there's this thing. It contradicts, like there's a structure that contradicts our assumptions that we're not central. And then he literally rolls it out. How do we avoid this evidence? I mean, this is just getting hysterical.
It's a self-report for sure. It's like, I'm guilty of rape. How do I avoid the consequences?
Yeah.
Anybody in the room have any ideas?
I'm not that sure, and because it certainly leads to our galaxy maybe being in a special place.
Now that is controversial because anyone in the standard cosmology community would not even entertain such a notion.
Cosmologists should be open-minded and not suppress, if you like, the exploration of non-mainstream ideas.
Sorry, what world do you live in? That's exactly what it has been doing for like 300-400 years.
The oldest light in the universe, according to the Big Bang Theory, is the cosmic microwave background, the leftover radiation from the Big Bang itself. The only source of radiation we've ever discovered that comes to us from all directions of the sky.
The cosmic microwave background is the afterglow of the Big Bang. It's the radiation coming at us from the Big Bang, the leftover radiation. It's amazing. In fact, it's highly visible in a sense, but it wasn't discovered until 1965 in New Jersey, of all places, by two people who didn't know what the heck they were doing, but they won the Nobel Prize anyway. But in fact, you've actually seen it. Well, if you've ever disconnected your cable TV, or if you're like me, old enough to remember before cable TV, when the stations went off the air at night, after the test pattern, there'd be static. If you disconnect the cable on your TV, you'll see static. Turns out about 1% of the static you can see on your TV is radiation left over from the Big Bang.
This background radiation should be isotropic. It should define no special direction in the universe, and certainly not one related in any way to us. Max Tegmark decided to look at the cosmic microwave background in a new way. And he discovered something amazing.
I decided to look at the data in a different way by separating it into what we call spherical harmonics. And each one of those harmonics corresponds to a picture you can look at on your screen. And I wrote this computer program, and like 3 in the morning was done, and I hit enter, and poof, up came a picture, and whoa. Crazy. I had typed in 2, which was the lowest one of these modes, and it didn't look at all like it was supposed to do. I had looked at this because there had been previous papers saying maybe there was something a little fishy about this lowest harmonic, but nobody had ever made a picture of it before because they couldn't clean out all the junk. And checked my program, there was nothing seemingly wrong with it. So I thought, I'm kind of tired. I have to type in 3 and see what the next one looks like. And that one looked even more crazy. It had this big band, like a pancake across the sky. And it was lined up with what came out when I had typed in 2. Like, whoa, what is going on here? So we mentioned this sort of in passing at the end of our paper, that there was this funny alignment which later got dubbed the axis of evil. And we did another paper and realized that it's actually quite unlikely that it's just a fluke. And then later on, other people, like Dragan Hutterer and many others, picked up on this and did much more careful studies and found that actually there was nothing wrong in my computer program, and the effect was there, and even more strongly so than we had guessed.
When you look at the cosmic microwave background, it's uniform in all directions, which is what you'd expect for the universe, in fact. Another bit of evidence that there really was a Big Bang. But there have been some anomalies.
There's one point about it that the radiation isn't exactly isotropic.
Dude, reaffirm. Oh, it's exactly what we'd expect. No, it isn't. In all these other ways we just indicated. No, like it only fits that way if you manipulate it and come up with new math and processes to actually lie about what you directly observed. That's it.
It's almost.
So they send up the satellite and they find out, wow, there's anisotropies out there. It's not smooth. Not only did they find anisotropies, what they found was that these anisotropies, these disturbances, these temperature disturbances throughout the universe were all pointing to the Earth.
This is if you just look at the galaxies out there in the universe. It doesn't matter whether you look at them like this or whether you tilt your head like this or like that, because there is no special direction. There's no up or down in space.
One of the fundamental principles of cosmology is the Copernican principle that we believe that the Earth does not occupy a special position.
Yet, there is this very special direction imprinted in these baby pictures of the universe. And it's pretty clear now, since many different groups have hammered at this, that it's real. It's in there in the data. What's much less clear is what it means.
The cosmic microwave background alignments do not define a center, but instead an axis, a preferred direction spanning the entire universe. The fact that these alignments are correlated to our own neighborhood is highly difficult to explain from within the assumptions of Big Bang cosmology. The dipole, which is aligned with our equinox, is usually attributed to a relative motion between our solar system and the cosmic background itself. However, the quadrupole and octopole alignments are also with respect to the ecliptic, the plane of the orbit of the planets around the sun.
Yeah, we're talking about magnetic.
Some people have actually suggested that there's structure in the cosmic microwave background radiation that's related to where the Earth is and how it's going around the sun, which is crazy, because we're nothing special.
Professor Lawrence Krauss, writing back in 2006, addressed these strange anomalies in the cosmic microwave background as follows.
He says this, but when you look at the CMB map, you also see that the structure that is observed is, in fact, in a weird way, correlated with the plane of the Earth around the sun. Is this Copernicus coming back to haunt us?
Plane of the Earth?
We're looking out at the whole universe. There's no way there should be a correlation.
I know, right? It's like, are they reporting? Are they making some kind of like admission about another understanding they're not telling us?
Yes.
Does this guy know something that he's just not telling us?
Yeah, they're declaring space is actually the edges of what they don't know of Earth, just how far they see on Earth. Yeah, they're calling
the plane
that
of
space.
the Earth.
Yep, it's space that way. Yeah, they're telling you the truth, and it's flat, just like space, and it's centered where you are. Wherever you view it, that's where it's centered and focused, to work back to your eyes.
Of structure with our motion of the Earth around the sun, the plane of the Earth around the sun, the ecliptic, that would say we are truly the center of the universe, unquote.
In 2005, I was talking about the observation and what it would imply, but it's so strange that it's likely to be wrong. Now, that doesn't mean it's always wrong, and some things are so strange that they're actually right. But in this case, I suspect that the structure that was seen by some people that suggested that, you know, the whole microwave background is arranged around us is probably not right.
If you run up against an interpretation that sounds viable and credible that's not Copernican, it's thrown out.
And so I can see the resistance there, you know, that if you, like a heretic, you know, you come out and you say, hey, no, this is not right. That there is evidence that this cosmological principle, this idea that we're not in any special place in the universe, there's something wrong with that.
That whole cosmic microwave background is pointing to us, this tiny little space in the universe, and that happens to be where we live.
I frankly try to keep an open mind about what this ultimately means, because I still don't know.
As a matter of fact, you can go on some websites.
It means you are wrong!
Down stuff that.
Well, no, that guy is just honest.
Yeah.
That guy's just being honest. He's like, the data didn't work, and I'm here to tell you the data didn't work, and it didn't fit the heliocentric model, and I'm not sure what to think about this. Like, that guy's being totally honest.
I'm sure he'll forget about
we
it.
need more people like that.
He's just being intellectually honest right here, but I mean, I'm sure it's not going to have any actual consequences for his research projects and his career.
Well, I mean, you know what? Maybe we could go back and track his career since the movie and see if it's fallen off.
Oh, that is
hint to a geocentric universe.
Whenever there's something weird, it's wonderful if you get a fresh measurement of it. So I'm really keen to see what the Planck satellite pictures are going to look like, if they are going to have the same weird alignment. And they're going to have even better ability also to clean out noise from the galaxy and other sources. So I'm keeping all options on the table until then.
The strangeness of the alignment of cosmic microwave background with the ecliptic and equinoxes of Earth led many cosmologists to believe that the Planck satellite mission would finally show these alignments to have been a mistake. A foreground that wasn't subtracted properly, or a scanning beam anomaly in the WMAP telescope. Would the axis of evil turn out to be real? Finally, on March 21st, 2013, at the headquarters of the European Space Agency in Paris, the results of the Planck satellite mission were publicly released.
Today we are going to present to you the cosmic microwave background. Progress towards the future by understanding the past.
This map is a goldmine of information.
The stakes were high. If Planck were to confirm the existence of the axis of evil, it could mean the foundational principle of modern cosmology, the Copernican principle, is wrong. Planck was expected by many to show instead that the strange CMB axis of evil was nothing more than foreground contamination, or a scanning beam anomaly somehow missed by the WMAP team. We flew back to Boston to interview Max Tegmark at MIT. We asked him whether his discovery of the axis of evil had been confirmed or debunked by Planck.
It was just so exciting. I'm standing there shaving at 5 in the morning while I'm watching George Eustathio on the live feed press conference. And when the first image comes up on the screen, I line it up with this cleaned image of the data that we had made way back in the past. And it all matches. This spot matches this spot, this one matches this spot. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, this is so awesome. And the axis of evil is obviously there because all the big spots are in the same places. So all these puzzling anomalies have survived. And the axis of evil is still with us. And we have to actually ask us what it means.
But what about the alignments with the ecliptic and equinoxes, which Lawrence Krauss had said would mean we were really the center of the universe? We asked Max Tegmark if Planck's results had convinced him that the axis of evil actually was aligned with our ecliptic and equinoxes.
I have to confess that I was bothered by the fact that the axis of evil seemed linked to a special direction in our solar system, and something in my gut was telling me that this might, even though I greatly trust the people on the WMAP team, point to something fishy in their analysis. But I also feel very strongly that I have to actually override my gut by using my brain and by looking at data. And now we have completely independent data with better detectors, completely different people seeing the same thing. So there's just no way we can blame this on the WMAP team. There is, I think, a real possibility that the axis of evil and other strange things we see in large scales of the cosmic microwave background are a hint of something really big. just the tip of an iceberg, something huge.
So now we're in a position to look at the entire microwave sky. First, multipoles. The dipole, usually attributed to a relative motion between our local system and the CMB itself. The quadrupole, the north and south ecliptic poles, and the spring and fall equinoxes. The S-shaped line represents the plane of the ecliptic, the plane of the orbit of the planets around the sun. Notice how it neatly divides warm and cold sections of the CMB map. This is our first hint that something very unusual is going on. Now we transform our Molveda projection into a sphere and rotate our universe so that the S-shaped line of the ecliptic becomes the dark line across the center of the sphere. This plane, lying between the warm and cold areas of the CMB, will become the grid along which we fly through the entire visible universe. From the point at which space first becomes transparent and structure begins to form, through the Virgo supercluster, and finally, to our own Milky Way galaxy. As we enter it, amazingly, we arrive at our own local neighborhood. Our sun, and finally, our home. So does this mean that the pendulum has started to swing back away from the Copernican principle? Could this, in fact, be Copernicus coming back to haunt us?
Now today, fortunately, we don't burn astronomers alive anymore, which I think is a good thing.
Life may be very rare, and we may be very special, but that doesn't mean the universe was created just for us.
I've really changed my opinion in a major way of how I feel about our place in the cosmos. For
Based
many years,
on the science.
I was feeling more and more
They just keep on saying, is
Changed
this the
his
point where
opinion
they're finally
based
gonna...
on the science.
Yeah. But I mean, like, now they're gonna... Is this finally... They're probably still gonna double down on it. Yeah?
Well, I mean, he's in the movie, so the movie wasn't made yet. And I'm not sure how much of the communication across different fields would be open enough or even offer that these older, observations are relevant enough. Like this movie did a great job at summarizing and steel manning the position. And I wonder if he has changed his position since this movie. I'd be curious to find out.
Is that we humans were just living on a small planet in a solar system, in a galaxy, in this universe. We just kept getting smaller. Then we did realize we're not even made of the majority kind of substance, dark matter and dark energy. And then we realized that we're also very brief. Our 100-year lifespans, compared to the 14 billion year age of the universe. So how could we possibly be significant? But I've really completed our 100 mind, and now I actually think we're very significant.
The very successes of science have led it to this moment of
Real
truth.
science.
It now confronts the very same questions which were once considered the domain of metaphysics, even of theology.
We are asking about ultimate things. What is the bedrock of the world? What is time? What is motion? These are the most fundamental things.
Oh, this cosmic microwave background is like we are seeing the fingerprint of God, the hallmarks of the Creator.
Because nobody believes that the universe comes to an end just where we can see.
It's been remarkably difficult to come up with any physical theory that just makes exactly what we see and then stops.
I'm a great advocate of the multiverse and the idea that, our universe is just one of many, this progression in the Copernican concept.
Multiverse. The hypothesis that an unending number of universes exist, the main purpose being to answer what is commonly understood as the fine-tuning problem, namely, that our single universe operates within a very narrow margin of physical constants and could not have come into existence by chance.
We are made out of electrons. If each electron is in multiple places at the same time, then am I not also multiple places at the same time? And the answer is yes. Now apply this quantum principle to the universe. If the universe obeys uncertainty, then you don't know where the Big Bang was. The Big Bang could have been here, the Big Bang could have been there, just like electrons. You don't know where the electrons is. So this means you have multiple universes. So as soon as you apply the quantum principle to the universe, immediately you get parallel universes.
And some people don't like it and call it a crisis. I call it a multiverse.
I think the multiverse has really come about because of a whole range of fine-tuning issues. The Goldilocks type universe, the laws of physics finely tuned, the existence of humans.
The multiverse is an attempt to take quantum mechanics and give every possible answer as a yes.
There could be an infinite number of universes, and the energy and empty space would be different in each one. And only in those in which the energy empty space is comparable.
So this
to what
is
we
where
see,
just logic falls
galaxies
apart,
form.
and they can just superimpose any fucking thought they want, even though it completely refutes logic. I mean, this is dangerous right here.
That's just deepening the doubling down. I mean, right?
No, this is worse. This is way worse than that. You heard what he said. He said he's comparing electrons being in multiple positions simultaneously, right? As in some sort of quantum positioning, which gives credence to a potential possibility of the multiverse, which is completely illogical, dude. No, this is way worse.
Well, they did this earlier by conflating what happens when they say that matter just spawns out of the smallest thing. It just spawns out of space, and they use that to conflate and say that the universe is just kind of spawn as well. So how can they differentiate between one reading and another if things just manifest where you expect them or don't expect them?
Where's the example? Where's the example of innate matter spontaneously emerging from space? Did they provide that?
They just say the whole quantum thing.
Yeah, they're just going with subatomic particles that'll like instantly appear and then go away again, and then argue they're coming from the other dimension. That's how this started.
Anyhow, carry on.
And life would have formed. So it's kind of a cosmic natural selection. It's not fine-tuning. It's not religious, like some people think. It's the opposite.
Yes, it can get all sorts of answers predictively, but it doesn't provide the mechanisms and it doesn't determine things properly.
There are actually a variety of approaches that come from both cosmology and from particle physics, which predict that there could be many other universes.
By inventing all of these other universes that are unobservable, unverifiable.
If you have a mechanism for producing one Big Bang, it's going to produce other Big Bangs, and therefore it would seem fairly logical there should be many other universes.
The multiverse hypothesis, the problem in a sense is it can explain too much. In the multiverse, as various people have proposed, anything you want happens here, something else. You can take anything you want and you can explain it by the multiverse. That means it has incredible explanatory power, but it also means there's effectively nothing you can do to test it.
In trying to figure out all these anomalies that they see in the universe that don't fit the Copernican principle, what this leads to is creating a whole bunch of universes, billions and billions. It goes on ad infinitum.
Cool. So it can
Somewhere
explain
around those
everything,
universes,
but
there's
it
going to
could
be
never
something
prove
that's
anything.
not geocentric.
It can explain everything
And that's how we
illogically,
can-
yes.
Exactly. Like
This-
once you say that like any answer is possible and that works for you, like you totally lost the plot.
Well, the second you abandon logic, right, and then replace it with anything possibility, like you're just right back where you started, dude.
This sounds a lot
Get out
like
of the
coping.
problem. There's a geocentric universe in the multiverses. There's a heliocentric one. There's a jovocentric one centered on Jupiter by this hypothesis.
It's a very, very interesting hypothesis. One can make good reasons why it's a good model to believe in, but There isn't any direct way to prove the multiverse is correct observationally.
We cannot directly observe these other universes because, remember, the point is we cannot observe beyond 40 billion light years.
Got to be careful when we claim the mantle of science for some of what comes out. I'm very happy to claim the mantle of scientifically based philosophy for what comes out, but I'm worried when we're claiming the mantle of science.
The fine-tunings, if we're the only universe, the fine-tunings are really hard to explain unless you're going to invoke a creator or something.
We seem to find ourselves in a part of the universe that is perfectly tuned for life.
On the other hand, if you have got a multiverse, then it's fairly natural by a simple selection effect that we are going to be in one of the universes which is going to allow life to arise.
Saying there's many universes doesn't really answer anything, does it? Because it doesn't deal with the universe we're in, assuming it's even true.
Where are we going to find ourselves in the multiverse? The only place we're going to find ourselves is where we can survive.
I would agree that the alternative is between a multiverse and God.
It's just too perfect to be a happenstance or a coincidence.
The reason the universe appears to be so tuned for our existence is not because some divine intelligence decided, I want to create a universe so people can be in it, but rather, if we're any different, we wouldn't be here.
Once you eliminate the creator, you have this gradation of learning, and all of a sudden you reach this point where you can't go any further.
The universe could not have been an accident. It is so gorgeous when it could have been random and ugly. It is so beautiful and elegant when it could have been random and an unwieldy collection of subatomic particles. Here it is, this glorious universe of ours that creates consciousness.
To me, that's evidence of a creator behind it.
What is particularly worrying about some of the discussion of the multiverse is the use of the word infinity.
God. That's the only infinity.
Infinity is a number that can never, ever, ever be attained. Infinity is the unattainable.
Big Bang cosmology assumes that the only thing that exists is the physical world. There's nothing beyond that.
You don't confront the face of God in a multiverse. You're just the result of a mathematical equation splitting infinitely.
If that were true, there would be no room at all for spirit, or for God, or for any of the mutual interactions.
People have...
Dude, I love so much that Dr. Bennett's in this movie, and I've met him and talked to him, and he's like super cool. That's like, I don't know, it's like one of I don't know, like I don't have any like heroes or anything, but dude, Dr. Bennett's awesome. So, I want to say that.
Had a brick wall placed in front of them because science had said certain things, and they said, you must stay over in this category here, and you cannot go into the God category, because that's going to destroy our science.
It does tend to be taboo to call on God or a creator for anything in science.
And there's no evidence of planning or purpose in the universe, as far as we can tell.
They're not really referring to a Genesis biblical creator. They're referring to some innate, inanimate universe that created itself.
So George, if you do take the fine-tuning seriously, but you don't believe it actually is due to that being a multiverse, what is your explanation of the fine-tunings?
You really want to push me on this?
Even if it's a non-scientific explanation.
It's absolutely possible that there is a multiverse. It's possible this was just the way things happened, that there's nothing more to say about it. It's possible that in some sense it was meant to be that way, and that in fact all the other evidence about meaning, purpose and so on in the universe might help one to say that there's some element of meaning underlying all of this.
But is that tantamount to saying that there was a fine-tuner, a creator?
That would be tantamount to saying that.
And so, at the end of the day, the question remains, are we significant or just a cosmic accident?
Well, I think it's now very well established that our universe is a very special universe within the space of universes we can imagine.
When you look at all the parameters that have to be just right, temperature, solar radiation or stars radiation nearby, etc. So when you really look at the details, it takes a phenomenal number of parameters.
Dude, just imagine like what all had to take place to specifically facilitate the water cycle. The water
I'll tell you.
cycle alone.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. I mean, it's amazing, bro. Like the amount of things that would have had to have aligned just right in order for this cosmic glitch to take place from some sort of a fluke event, i.e. a Big Bang, like, to me, just completely refutes God outright. And I think these guys are struggling with that. I think these guys are starting to see that they stepped in a pile of dog shit, and it smells really bad.
It's a Goldilocks zone to the infinite degree, is what it is.
You said refutes
What's that,
God?
Rich? The whole multiverse thing. The fact that they're trying to say that all of this took place from some sort of a fluke event, i.e. the Big Bang, and how everything just perfectly aligned itself, right? Yeah, like refutes God. And I think they're starting to realize that there's too many coincidences for that to have just been some sort of fluke event. Like, you can't have all of these things properly align in such a way, like multitudes of things, in some sort of just fluke event. It doesn't happen. That's like saying you went to the bowling alley, you threw a strike, right? The strike happened, but somehow all the pins just magically realign themselves back into the perfect order. Like, that just doesn't happen. We've never seen that happen. Has anybody ever seen that happen at a bowling alley? I don't think so. Anyhow, go ahead.
Well, I'd say they're intentionally excusing God when clearly there's like intention and design everywhere.
Yeah, I think they're affirming God's existence right now. They're saying that, I mean, it can only be. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
To be correct in order to support life on the Earth. When I see how barren the other planets are and how bountiful the Earth is, something's different, and we're in just the right spot for it.
We got to get away from that Copernican principle and the notion that man means nothing. From just a meaningless molecule to a human being that's in a special location for presumably a special purpose. And therefore men are driven by their purpose, and they can see themselves in a very different light than the fact that they are simply chaotic blobs.
So that according to Big Bang cosmology, the future looks very bleak. Either the universe is going to keep on expanding forever, and eventually it'll run out of energy and all life will die, or it will recollapse again, and then everything will die as well.
The two lessons of cosmology that I like to give people are, one, we're more insignificant than we thought we were before. You're completely insignificant. All of our human drama and everything else is more irrelevant when it comes to the cosmos than it was before. So we're insignificant, and the future's miserable. So those are the two things we've learned.
One shouldn't be too pessimistic.
That guy that just said that was not paying attention, dude. If that's what he summarized from all of this, and how the fuck could you say that after hearing everything that was just said? Like, that makes no sense what that guy just said.
Astronomy is ripe for a new Copernican revolution, perhaps back in the other direction.
The Earth is a very special place, no two ways about it.
Human beings are very wonderful.
You are so special that consciousness is so powerful and so hard to create. That is the defining principle of the universe itself.
But if we are significant, and if there's something special about our home, this planet, then those concepts have tremendous implications. And we need to be then focused on our commitments as stewards over the creation that we have.
We need to take that brick wall away so that we can make that bridge between science and theology.
I have a minority view as to what this means. I think it means that life of the advanced form we enjoy here is extremely rare, and that we are in fact the only life in our entire observable universe that's gotten to the point that we have telescopes. And if that's true, then we are very significant.
The carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, the iron in your body wasn't created in the Big Bang. It was created in the fiery nuclear...
Put through like a meat grinder. This guy's so dumb.
Who is this guy?
Ridiculous.
What's his name?
Who
Who is
Lawrence
this guy?
Krauss?
Oh God, bro. Like out of everybody that spoke, he seems to be completely antithetical to everyone's opinion.
So, and then, you know, just kind of like swindle you with all kinds of verbiage and stuff and imagery.
Yeah, this guy's a jerk. Fuck this guy.
Like this guy is essentially no different than all like the cut scenes in this movie. It's a bunch of flashy lights and CGI.
Hand and so you're not only are you intimately connected to the cosmos, every atom in your body has experienced the most cataclysmic explosion in nature, a supernova explosion. When a star explodes, it burns with a brightness of 10 billion stars, and every atom in your body's experienced it.
So what I take away from this is we simply always need to keep an open mind and listen to all viewpoints and let Mother Nature be the one who gets the final word.
There's always a revolution coming in science because science is necessary. Provisional. It cannot make a final statement because it doesn't know everything. It cannot examine what's going on at the four corners of the universe.
As to how many angels dance on the head of a pin, I think it's still an open question.
You know, I can tell you what the future might be, but it could be something different.
I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary when you look at it. There's this little ball of rock with this thin layer of air, and here we are dependent on the rock and the air and the sun floating through these immense space. I just think one ought to have that picture of what we are in order just to have a full concept of being a human being.
We also know that there's nothing about the laws of physics that says that life has to be limited to just being stuck on this planet and can't ultimately engulf our entire universe, come alive. If that happens in the distant future, I think it will be because of what we humans decide to do here on this planet. And it's probably going to be settled in my lifetime, whether we just permanently screw it up or get our act together and concede space with life. And if in the distant future our whole universe has come alive, I don't know how our distant ancestors are going to think about us, but I'm sure they're not going to think of us as insignificant.
That was awesome,
For
Ridge.
nearly
Appreciate you, man.
400 years,
You got it,
ever
bro.
since the trial
Thanks
of
for coming by.
Galileo, there has often been tension, if not outright conflict, between faith and science. Remarkably, the Copernican principle seems to be the ground upon which faith and science are again, at long last, approaching one another. Perhaps we can hope to achieve a more fruitful and successful dialogue this time around.
That was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just needs to be said, and I hope Don took it to heart. You know, I hope he understood some of the arguments.
Yes, I took most of it in again. I only missed about 5 minutes.
I don't know. I think you just came in like a few minutes ago, didn't you, Don?
No, Don has
No.
been there. He's the reason I showed the whole thing. We were just here by
Oh,
ourselves.
okay. Gotcha. Somebody popped in. Late.
So I think my main hypothesis is I agree with special, but I don't agree with the center. And the universe is a mystery. I don't know why we're on the ball or exactly which spot it's in. I don't think it's the center, but
But
we
dude,
can
that's
still tell.
you
whether
can't have
we're-
like
we're there.
one without the other. Like
Why-
the whole
hold on.
reason there is speciality is because we are the center. Like that's the whole
Yeah,
point
like,
of this.
were you not
No, I
listening,
started
Don,
to
to like
agree.
what was being said in the video, Don?
Yes, I listened very carefully. I've watched it before as well.
So I don't understand like why you would say something like that, which is completely like going against everyone else's opinion from like, I don't know, like a bona fide
Man,
position.
dude, you're not that convincing. That's why I don't agree with you on things.
It's called cognitive
It's
dissonance.
not me. This is coming from your school of thought. These are proponents of your school of thought that are essentially saying that we aren't insignificant.
Kraus said no, we're not significant.
Oh, Kraus
You
said
had,
it.
So
you had one
Wow.
fucking lame out of the bunch, bro. That obviously, dude, is anti fucking.
the other guy that you
Yes.
like, that we're not the center. We just can see that it could be special, and he's interested to find out more.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you agree with the one guy that everybody,
No, I'm
even in
telling
the
you,
video,
other
didn't
guy,
agree with.
The one you like doesn't agree we're at the center.
Which one? Which one did I like?
I don't know
main one that was
I don't know what's wrong with a man having a little bit different interpretation than what you had.
It wasn't just me. It was everyone in the video. The guy completely disagreed with everyone else.
That's your opinion.
All of his colleagues, he disagreed with all his colleagues.
That's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. I mean, it was clear as day. Clear as day last night.
I think you might be able to form a more rounded idea as a whole, you know, by listening to all of those opinions and, you know, coming to your own conclusion about it.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, we're all entitled to formulate our own opinion. That's fine. I'm not denying you of that, or Don. What I'm saying is, we're listening to some accredited individuals here, and out of all the individuals that spoke, there was only one that had a wavering idea as to the true nature of the cosmos, and that was the guy that Don decided to side with, which I thought was very odd.
None of them actually agreed we're at the center, but you have to watch it more carefully.
Right. Anyway, guys, I've been going for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'm gonna round out the show. But yeah, that was great. I'm glad I tuned in here to go through this. I kind of wanted to review the movie myself, but yeah, just me on my own it's not really that interesting. So yeah, glad to do that here. Really appreciate it. Riggs, thanks for the opportunity. It's been a good conversation.
Yeah, Erwin, glad you could join in. You came in right at the beginning, which is perfect. And hopefully, Don, you know what, Don? I hope you go back. I hope you go back and watch this again and realize the error of your ways. That's all I can say.
All right. Anyway, I'll pop back in later after I get some lunch. And thanks for having me again and being part of the Flat Earth Early Bird number 2513 on this Sunday. And see you guys next time. Alright. So yeah, man, it's been a long show. It started off really slow. Because, I don't know, I'm not very energetic today. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. So yeah, again, shout out to LSG, popped up in the chat. At Rumble, appreciate you. I am gonna round out the show though, because it's like almost 5:30 here. And I'm really hungry. Right, so thanks everyone for coming. I hope you liked this show. If you did, then please don't forget to Rogan's it up. And if you haven't already, follow me here on Rumble and be here when I'm going live, which is normally 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day. And please also do support me through the PayPal, Patreon, GiveSendGo, links are in the description box below, or send me super chat over at the Rumble live chat when the show is live, or subscribe to my channel. Support me that way. Any support would be greatly appreciated. I can really use it. Right, I'll be back tomorrow with Flat Earth Early Bird number 2514 on a Monday. Hope to see you all then. Everybody have a great rest of this Sunday. God be with you. May Christ walk with you. And until the next video, keep it flat.